think it is working. Alright, let's just double check before we actually start the show here. I think we've been on the air for about a couple seconds. Let's see. Gotta find a link. Let's see. Copy that. Let's see here. I haven't done one of these in a few years. I'm not sure exactly how this works. Alright. Let's see here. Send the link. Let's see if this works. I think it is, but I'm not sure. If it is, the first like 10 minutes of this video is just gonna be fucking trying to figure this shit out. Alright, let's see. Should play some like background music or something right now. That'd be funny. Alright, let's see. Hashtag AskGSM 300. Let's see. Just gotta make sure it's up and running. It's running on my side. I'm just making sure it works for other people real quick. That's all. I'm pretty sure it is. The funny thing is that when we did episode 200 a few years ago, the first, like, no joke, like 20 minutes are me just sitting down, just, like, looking at my laptop, trying to figure out if the thing was working. I don't know if I ever cut that shit out. It might still be in the video. I don't remember. Oh, here we go. Okay, so there's a link. Copy link. Let's see if this works. Alright. Should work. Okay, let's see here. Gonna go with the old 300 picture. I wasn't really sure what to use for the thumbnail, so I just threw in the, It's up, okay, thank you. Wasn't exactly sure what to use, so we're just gonna use the 300 movie here. Alright, I think it's working. Okay, let's get the link going here. Share this on social media before we actually get started here. Again, kind of an anticlimactic beginning to the 300th episode of Hashtag AskGSM. That's what you got to do when you go live there. You just got to make sure it's working so I'm not talking for 2 hours and it's not recording and, you know, shit like that. I'm using a free program called, let's see, OBS. And I found it, YouTube suggested it. It's free. It's not what I used last time. I think last time I used Wirecast, which was good, but I couldn't use, like, pictures and stuff. I mean, we did, like, video. I'm not doing video for this one, just audio. I like this, though. Maybe we'll do this again in the future. I said that last time, and that was fucking 2 years ago, but... Alright, let's put out the link to the video real quick before we do anything. We are now live with the 300th episode of Ask... We are now live with the 300th episode of Hashtag AskGSM. Join us now on YouTube. I mean, of course, you can send questions in the chat, too. I don't think we're going to have many viewers, if any, really, watching right now, just because it's like fucking 10:50 here on the East Coast on a Wednesday. I was actually originally planning on doing this on around like noon, but I got to get going a little later, so I figured sooner the better. I have other stuff to record and do before I take off in a few hours. So, I hate to take people by surprise. But the thing is, I actually scheduled a live stream for noon. And I don't know how to go back and change it or how to go live with that stream. So it's very confusing. I'm not exactly sure how YouTube works, and I've been on it now for a decade. So, oh well. Okay, let's tweet out the link real quick, and we'll put it on Facebook, and then we'll get going here. And I promise no more delays. Okay, so we tweeted out the link. Let's go to Facebook. We're live, pal. We're live. Anything can happen. I mean, I'm sure nothing controversial will happen here on the show as we go along here, but nevertheless, let's see. Sure nothing major will happen. Just answering questions. Pretty much the same standard show as usual. I know we did for the 200th episode, we took calls. Or rather, I just called some of the people that we've had on the show over the years. Some of the special guests we've had here on hashtag AskGSM. But I don't really feel like doing that today because, again, that took like, the show was like 3 hours. It was like the longest show I think I've ever done. Maybe another time, maybe we'll do that with like some other video I record, maybe not hashtag specifically, although I thought it was a cool concept. We haven't had a guest here on the show in a long time. Maybe not since like last year when RJ was on. I honestly can't remember the last time we had on a guest. Maybe Alexis was on a little less than a year ago. I don't really remember. But still, let's see. Let's put this out on Facebook real quick. Hashtag we are now live with the 300th episode of hashtag AskGSM. Join us now on YouTube for anyone who feels free like listening. For anyone who feels like listening at fucking 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. Shout out to anyone who bothers to listen right now. So I know it's not going to be really live if anyone's, people are listening on playback and not exactly live, but I thought it was cool just to do anyway because I was available this morning. Let's say, join us now live on YouTube. All right. I don't think I'm going to share. I think Facebook and Twitter is enough. I'm surprised this is actually working. This seems to be a lot easier than what we did for, what was it? The 200th episode. The 200th episode, it just took a long time to get going. Like, literally, it took me like a half an hour. And I downloaded this software last night for this live show. Again, last night. Or maybe went Monday night. I don't know, one of the two. But it didn't take long to record at all. To get downloaded and, get going, make sure it's working, all this other shit. But, yeah. So, hopefully this works and we can do this again in the future with just other stuff. We don't have to wait until episode 400 to go live with hashtag AskGSM. Maybe we could do this more often, either with hashtag or other videos I do. I'm not exactly sure why I would do like a live network and chill, but maybe if we review a pay-per-view, I feel like everyone does that, so I'm not really sure what I would do this for, but maybe just down the road we'll do something cool with Facebook, or rather YouTube Live, the live streaming. I've actually always wanted to do live streaming for SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 General Manager Mode. Anyone who knows me well enough knows that I fucking love that game. The thing is that I don't have a great, camera setup. I'm not exactly sure how to do that because I'm not tech savvy when it comes to video games, so I'm not exactly sure. I looked into it recently because I've always played it for PS2, and that's obviously a lot harder to record than I would say. I would think Xbox, what is it now? Xbox One, PS4, just because those have the things built into them where you can play the games. They don't have that on PS2. My PS2 shit the bed about a year ago anyway. I gotta go get a new one for $50 on Amazon or some shit. But at some point it would be cool to do that just because I've always loved playing GM. It really is what they're doing in Up, Up, Down, Down right now with Tyler Breeze and Xavier Woods. Obviously it would be just me doing it, but I've had that idea for a long time now. Just because I've been thinking about doing that since 2013, 2014. Because I saw no one else doing it, then Xavier stole my idea. But anyway, hopefully at some point we can do that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I fucking love GM mode. I got a hankering for it just recently. So maybe at some point we can do that. But nonetheless, this is hashtag AskGSM episode 300 after a long intro. I hope you just skipped ahead a couple minutes if you've been watching or listening since the beginning. But yeah, this is episode 300 of hashtag AskGSM. I will not do the 300 voice from the movie that came out 10, 15 years ago. It's probably closer to 15 years ago at this point. 2006, 2007, something around there. But yeah, hashtag AskGSM celebrating 300 episode. And the cool thing is, 300 episodes I should say. The cool thing is, and I said this last week on Wrestle Rant Radio, that for whatever reason, I don't know how this happened, just because I didn't start the two shows at the same time. The same year, yes, not the same week or anything. Hashtag AskGSM I started in early July of 2013. So we've been doing this show now for over 6 years, which is a really long time, because I've seen a lot of other people do, Q&A videos before me, after me, while I started mine, and a lot of people just stop. A lot of people either just don't care, or they don't get the views. these aren't blockbuster views anyway. Like, I barely get any views on my videos, but I just fucking love doing it. And I get a lot of cool feedback from you guys. I got a lot of awesome people who sent in questions this week from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter saying, oh, congrats on 300, all this other stuff. And a lot of you are, obviously, all of you are responsible for it going 300, way more than me. I would probably still be doing the show anyway, but just because I love talking, maybe just to myself, maybe that's a weird problem that I have, but I just love talking about wrestling. And I've been doing podcasts and, videos like this dating back to like 2011, which is close to 8 years now that I think about it, which is nuts. But yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, hashtag AskGSM, I started that in the summer of 2013 just because I don't know if someone recommended to me that I should do a Q&A video or just because I felt like it, just because I had seen other people doing it at that time. But either way, I started that at that point. And then Wrestle Rant Radio, I started a few months after that when I started college in September, October of 2013. Yet despite the fact that they're a few months apart, like I've taken a few months off from hashtag before. Like when I first started school, I didn't do any hashtags. If you go back and look at all the videos, and the first ones are awful, fucking terrible. Like I would never recommend to anyone that they go out of their way to watch those early episodes of hashtag because actually, now that I think about it, if I think those are terrible, the videos I did even before that with WrestleRant, dating back to like 2011, or even worse, they're fucking atrocious. But anyway, I didn't do it in the first few months of my first semester of college, just because I think I had 2 roommates at that point, couldn't find time to record, wanted to take a break from everything after doing a lot going into college. I wanted to just kind of stop doing everything for a while. No videos, no podcasts, no nothing. So I did Wrestle Rant Radio using the college tech, the radio setup that we had at my school. And then I started hashtag back up again in the winter of 2014. And I think we've been doing it weekly ever since. The only period, I think, in the last 5 years, and I really pride myself on not missing a show. I don't think I missed the show of Wrestle Rant Radio in like 5 years. Hashtag we have, just because there was one stretch of time in late 2015 where I didn't have a laptop. My laptop shit the bed. It was on its way out anyway. It was a piece of shit. Like I would record hashtags sometimes and I had to like elevate my computer because the fan wasn't working, among other issues that I had. And it would just randomly turn off. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I recorded episodes on that laptop at that time that never made it to YouTube because actually while I was recording hashtag, the video just cut out. It just stopped working. Or not my video, but the computer. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's because the laptop died because my charger stopped working and the port was shut. And that's not really something you can fix, especially after having a laptop for like 4 or 5 years. And usually they last a little longer than that, but I use my laptop a lot. So my shelf life for a laptop, my average shelf life for a normal laptop is like 3 or 4 years. So it was about time I got a new one anyway. I just kind of had to speed up the process. I was hoping to get one for Christmas. Had to do it ahead of time. That was kind of what I was hoping to do with this current laptop before that shit the bed about not even a week ago, less than a week ago. But anyway, back in 2015, we had to stop doing the show for like a 3-week period because of that shit. And, yeah, it was just really annoying because I couldn't record, I couldn't do anything for like, God, I don't even know, like 3 weeks? I went without a laptop for like at least 2 weeks, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're someone that's always on their computer, just writing, reviewing, podcasting, doing videos, shit like that, that's a long time. I had to utilize the campus, like computer lab. It wasn't really a computer lab. They called it like the computer cafe or something dumb like that on my campus. And I had to go there like, RJ would tell you, I don't know if he remembers this, but this was a while after we became friends. And I'll talk about RJ more in a second. But like I would leave his place on campus. Like in his place was literally 2 minutes away from my dorm. I would leave his place on Monday nights after pay-per-views. I didn't have a laptop when Hell in a Cell happened that year. So I left his place at like 11 o'clock. But instead of going to my dorm, which was a 2-minute walk away, I went to the computer lab, like for 2 hours until 1 a.m. like a psycho, because I went to go write my review and I had to work on articles for the next day. And then combine that with like writing papers and shit, and it was like 15 minutes away from my dorm. It was just a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So thankfully we don't have that issue. I almost had that issue with this show, with this episode. The timing could not have been worse. My last laptop that I just got rid of a couple days ago shit the bed on Saturday I woke up, opened up the screen, which was on its way out anyway, and the screen wasn't working. Now the laptop still worked, the motherboard still worked, but it was the screen that wasn't working. So I couldn't see what I was doing. I had to actually hook up my laptop. I mean, I have a TV, like a smaller TV, but it's just kind of inconvenient to use right now just based on where it is in the house. So I had to use the bigger screen TV in like our, in my TV room, family room, whatever, and use that as my fucking, my monitor for like Saturday and Sunday, which was hilarious. And then on Monday, I went ahead and bought a laptop from Staples. So shout out to Staples for their help. I was there on Saturday talking to a guy who gave me a lot of great tips on what I would want, what I should need, whatever. And they have a lot of great deals. This one was like a couple $100 off, which was awesome. So I talked to the same guy on Monday. He helped me purchase one. I had to go ahead and buy one just because I can't really go without one. And I could have done what I was doing before and hooking it up to the monitor of the TV, blah, blah, blah. It was very inconvenient. So I had to go ahead and buy a new one. Thankfully, I did. I have an HP, I believe, Pavilion, something like that. It's a little on the smaller side. It's like 14 and not 15 inches. But it's still really cool, and I like it a lot, and I've been using it the last couple days. So hopefully this lasts me a little longer than the other one. I guess we'll see. I just use laptops a lot, so maybe that's why I go through them. So maybe not quickly, but like a little quicker than I should. I've seen some people say like, oh, get something you can use for 10 years. And I'm like, 10 years would be a miracle. Like, I can't even make half that time. Like, I've had my laptops for 3 or 4 years just because I use them so fucking much. But speaking of which, shout out to AWSM Media Guy and the Durbinator on Twitter. Taha and Durb, they're awesome people. They helped me a great deal in helping me get a laptop and helping me kind of giving me advice in what I should be looking for with what fits my needs with the YouTube stuff and podcasting and largely writing. But I do, make the videos here on my laptop too, so it helps to have, a faster computer. And this laptop's great, so shout out to them, shout out to Staples, and shout out to you guys for making the show possible. Again, I'd probably still be doing the show because I'm a psycho, but you guys have given me a lot of awesome feedback. Well, really, I don't know if I could be doing the show without you guys. Let's be honest here. Like, I could be doing a podcast and just talk to myself with 0 listeners every single week, yet somehow people still check out that show. With hashtag, though, you need people to send in questions. And whether it's 10 questions or we sometimes have upwards of like 30 questions, you guys always deliver every single fucking week. And obviously some podcasts have more, some people have less. I really don't care. I don't really compare myself to other people. I don't really give a shit about that. I don't care about views and all that other stuff. It really honestly does not matter to me. I just do it because I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. I love doing hashtag. It's probably the most fun that I have recording any show that I do, including Wrestle Rant Radio, which is also really, really cool to do. But with hashtag, you get to interact with you guys, and I get to go on rants sometimes, even more so than I do on Wrestle Rant Radio, ironically enough. But it's just a lot of fun. So this is the 300th episode. Be sure to like it. Send in a question in the live chat. This is Durbinator. Jesus Christ, we have viewers right now. Okay, I'm looking at the live chat. I just pulled it up. We got viewers. Let's see here. Ray Marceau, GSM, got a shout-out to Ray, RJ. I don't know why it says Ray. I think it's hooked up to his Google account. I call him Mr. Marceau. He got engaged to his girlfriend on Saturday. He texted me while I'm at a big-time wrestling show on Saturday saying, hey, GSM, tell Alexis. And I'm like, tell her what? And then he just sends me a picture of his girlfriend's hand with a ring on it saying, I'm getting hitched. I almost burst out in tears. I was so happy, and so was Alexis, which is really cool. So shout out to Mr. Marcel for getting married. He's finally getting married. That's awesome. To his girlfriend of 5+ years, Molly. Great girl. So could not be happier for the happy couple. I think that's awesome. But are we gonna have a WWE style wedding on the hashtag AskGSM? Should we record it? Go live with it here on YouTube for Mr. Marceau's wedding. The Ray and Molly Marceau wedding. I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't think RJ would appreciate that too much, but RJ's been with the show since literally day one. I think I befriended RJ right after I started doing the show. I mean, obviously we've been doing the show now since like the summer of 2013, but still, I befriended RJ right after that, and he's been checking out the show since like day one, which is really cool. So appreciate RJ for always sending the questions. He'll text me asking me when the video goes up, more so than anyone else every single fucking week, which is just hilarious. So love RJ. Thanks for joining us, brother. Appreciate it. We also have, we got a ton of people here in the chat here. Salmon4567, 300? Yes, it is 300. I don't know what the exact impression is from the movie, so I'm not even going to attempt to do it. But yes, I'm just using that as the thumbnail for right now. I'm not sure what the actual thumbnail for the video will be, if it will be wrestling related, or I'll stick with it. I don't know. But yes, we are on 300. Thank you, Selman. We are also joined by the Durbinator. There it is. This is Durbinator. Yes, Durb, thank you. I don't know if you heard my shout out to you earlier, but thank you for helping me get a laptop. Without you and Taha and AWSM Media guy, I don't know where I would be right now. I probably would not have a laptop. So I appreciate your help. Durb is awesome. He does great work alongside John Ritland, who sent in questions this week as well on their channel, Real Honesty with John Ritland. I know they do a Q&A video style video as well, so check out their stuff. They have great stuff. Let's see. RJ. Wow, GSM, this is connected to my Gmail. Thanks for the shout out. Yeah, of course, brother. That would make sense, the Gmail. I'm so used to calling you RJ. I don't know if I've called you Ray in like 3 years. We also got the JJF Rants Experience. Jared just wanted to say congrats for 300 episodes, man. Wish you the best. Thank you, Jared. Very much appreciate that. You're another one. Jared has probably been with us here on the show longer than I think anyone. And Ross, at RossScott123 in the chat as well. Thank you to you both. Have been here at the show definitely since the beginning. If not episode 1, then definitely close to that. And there's John. John has joined us as well. This is awesome. We got all the cast and crew here of the originals, which is awesome. Many are here to celebrate this milestone. Graham, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm gonna try to watch the chat. If anyone throws in questions or just has anything to say, whether it be dumb, I don't really care. It really has no influence on me. So if you just have anything dumb you want to say, like what belongs on pizza, go right ahead. This is a free country. Do whatever you would like. We're at 21 minutes now, and I have yet to answer a single fucking question. So that's a first for hashtag, and thank you guys for allowing me to ramble here as we kick off the show. But I don't even know what I was saying before, but we're just going to get right to the questions. If you guys want to send in a question, as you can every single fucking week, you can on Twitter at WrestleRant. You can tweet me there at WrestleRant with hashtag AskGSM. For this one, I would appreciate if you sent in a question with hashtag AskGSM300, just to be cute. Why not? Just because that fits the occasion. But even if not, that's cool. Appreciate you guys tuning in anyway. And again, this is live. All the other shows I do are obviously recorded. So when I fuck up, which RJ will tell you is a lot, RJ and I recorded many an episode of WrestleRant Radio. And I always fuck up in like the first 5 minutes or so. Not even the first 5 minutes, like the opening of WrestleRant Radio every single time. Like what you guys hear is the finished product of hashtag of WrestleRant Radio, and it still probably doesn't come out that well. But you don't want to hear what makes the cutting room floor, because it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I kind of fucked up. I'll get to the comments in a second. What was I even saying? Oh, what was I saying? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, what I record here, like, dude, I fuck up all the time. RJ will tell you, I mess up constantly. So if I flub something, and I like doing it over audio because I just feel like an idiot when I do it over video. I appreciate anyone who still does video, because I can't. I used to do it a lot. Hashtag you watch the first 200 episodes. They're all video for the most part. I've been doing audio ever since, just because it's easier for me to process all that other stuff. But anyway, I fuck up a lot. Like a lot. So you're going to hear a lot of botches here on the show. But we're live, pal. This is San Diego. That was an Anchorman reference. But anyway, let's look at the chat real quick. I know we got a couple more questions. Durb with a thumbs up. Appreciate it, Durb. Ross says, anyone who says pineapple belongs on pizza. Dead meme, but still. I don't know if that's a dead meme. I still see people talking about, pineapple on pizza and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's a dead meme exactly. John said, you just summed up what I say on my YouTube channel. If you have anything dumb to say, that's funny. No, John, you don't have anything dumb to say at all. I love your content. John is some of the best YouTube wrestling content out there, and movie reviews. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with, is that even a word? Not Ryan Satin. Sat down with Alexis to watch one of John's movie reviews, and his Crown Jewel review last year. Oh, they're great. Durb, to the thousands on the live chat and the millions watching after the stream, let's get ready for questions. Oh, that's actually really clever. We should get someone to record that and do that at the beginning of the show. That'd be funny. Jared, screw pizza. What goes in coffee? Well, honestly, I can't answer that question because I don't drink coffee. And I think it might have been you, Jared, a long time ago. Like, I used to post, I don't know why, because I was a fucking weirdo. I still am a weirdo. But, like, while I was watching, Impact, Raw, SmackDown, whatever, I would tweet out what I was eating that day. I would, I would say, I'm eating ice cream. I'm, having hot chocolate, whatever. And yes, I'm one of the weird-ass people that drinks hot chocolate in the summer, which I have done a few times this summer, despite it being fucking hot out. But anyway. Derb said he could do that voice. I know, Derb, you got a great voice, so I think that'd be awesome. If you could record something like that for me, that would be amazing, Derb. I would include it in the beginning of the show all the time. You're a gem. But anyway, again, I'm so, I get off track so easily, I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, the coffee thing. So, yeah, I would tweet out that, I'm having coffee ice cream. And then, I think I don't know if it was Jared, but I remember someone saying, who eats coffee ice cream? This fucking weirdo right here eats coffee ice cream. And I don't even drink coffee. How weird is that? I don't even like coffee. I don't drink coffee. I feel like I don't even need coffee. You listen to this show, you know how energetic I can be. I don't drink coffee. I don't need it. Fuck it. Fuck coffee. And yeah, I could swear in the show because it's fucking YouTube. It's a free country. Why not? But I love coffee ice cream. I do. And I make no bones about it. But anyway, so yeah, I love coffee ice cream, but I don't like coffee. How weird is that? Something you probably didn't know about GSM, something you probably didn't want to know, something you probably didn't care to know, but that's what this 300th episode is all about. JJF Ranch has got a question here. I got a whole bunch of questions in the chat, and I'll get, or not in the chat, in the document that I made from last night on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Again, I'm all over the place. I apologize. And we'll get to those in a second, but Jared has a question here from the chat. Braun Strowman apparently was close to leaving before his latest push. Same with Ziggler. Yeah, I saw the Strowman thing from Fightful. I saw him report that. His question was, who should try this tactic next to get a big push? I mean, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, about were they close to, I wasn't going to resign. I think Braun was always going to resign. Let's face it. Braun's been a fucking loser for the better part of 2019. But he was always going to resign. The guy's not going anywhere. Ziggler, I could see leaving. I don't know if he's leaving. I don't know if he resigned. Who cares anymore? Who possibly could give two shits about Dolph Ziggler? Let's be honest here. But who should try this tactic next? Bobby Roode. The Revival. I mean, the Revival, same thing. They haven't resigned yet, but they got 2 Raw Tag Team title reigns out of saying that they were going to quit. So, the Revival tried it, and it worked for them. It worked for the Usos. One of them got a fucking DUI, and then they got a tag team title reign. Or that was before, but still. I don't know who should try the tactic next. Honestly, maybe Finn Balor. Finn Balor's just been doing nothing for the better part of God knows how long now. He's been doing nothing for a long time. So probably Finn Balor would be my answer to you. This is where I would stop and re-record because I don't like how that came out because I fucked up. But we're live, pal. We're live. Let's see. I can do that voice. John can confirm. Derby, the man of many voices. Yes, he is. JJF Rand said, you don't drink coffee, yet you talk faster than literally anyone I know. Found that out when I was on Wrestle Rant Radio. Dude, the funny thing is that I've been told that since, God, the early episodes, not pre-Wrestle Rant Radio, people would tell me that when if you go back and watch my older videos, which I would not recommend because they're shit. They're just piles of garbage, steaming garbage. But anyway, I don't know. Again, I get so off track, I apologize. But, I do talk faster. I don't know why. I talk fast, and that's probably why I fuck up so easily. Because I don't think about what I say before I say it. I just say it. And then it all comes out in this jumbled mess. I don't know why. I don't drink coffee yet. I talk faster than anyone else. I don't know why. I really don't. I drink soda. I'm not drinking soda at 11:15 in the morning, but I do. RJ said a lot. I don't know. A lot as in I talk fast. I don't know what that's in... I don't know what that's in response to. I'm not sure. I don't know how far behind I am. RJ can clarify on that. So Ross said, who says drinking hot chocolate in the summer is weird? I'd like to have a word with them. I drink that every damn day. Ross, my man. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, fuck yeah for coffee. Or not for coffee drinkers. Fuck coffee. Fuck yeah for hot chocolate. I think it's great. It's tasty. It's refreshing. This is a commercial for hot chocolate. This is a commercial for Swiss Miss, baby. I love hot chocolate. Even when it's 90 degrees out. We had that heat wave a while ago. And we had that heat wave over the summer. I don't think I had hot chocolate at that point, but I think I was contemplating. I think I was away in London at that point. Oh yeah, RJ, you mess up a lot and then laugh. I do. I fucking do. If I had a gimmick on WWE TV, that would be my gimmick. It's harder with RJ though, just because the kid makes me laugh so much. Like, we just have really dumb humor and sometimes offensive humor. That's why I fuck up so much. That's why. So, RJ, I honestly blame you. And then you're going to be like in the chat like, what? But yeah, partially it's your fault because you make me laugh so much. And I just can't contain myself. Jesus Christ. Let's see. John Ritland. Fuck coffee. Starbucks foreplay. Oh, that's funny. Jared, hey, I love coffee ice cream, but I do remember I was the one who corrected you. Yes, you are fucking right. Jared, I love your memory. You have the same memory that I do. Yes, I remember that. You didn't bash me for saying that I like coffee ice cream. You know what the funny thing about that is, Jared? You were the first person to say that to me, ever, that I spelled espresso wrong. I thought it was espresso. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Maybe like express, but I put an O at the end. I don't know why. I do remember that. Yes, that was you, Jared. And the funny thing is, whenever I say that now, like if someone texts me my ice cream order and I say espresso, I make it a point now to make sure I say espresso or espresso whatever, but spell it the way that you did, the way that it's supposed to be spelled. Espresso. That's what it is. I always spelled it with an X for some reason because I was a fucking idiot. And I know I sound like an idiot. And I apologize. That's my thing. That's my thing. But yes, you are absolutely right, Jared. Thank you for joining us with that question. I thought that, yes, I absolutely remember that's funny. Muhammad, my FD from Facebook. Yeah, glad you could join us, dude. Hey, yeah, FD here, and I'm so happy to be here live for hashtag AskGSM episode 300. Thank you for joining us, FD. Durbinator, I don't think threatening to leave will work anymore. Vince may just opt out and send them home. Yeah, honestly, you're right. I mean, the funny thing is, imagine if we had an AEW 5 years ago. This is what I was thinking about recently. Imagine if we had AEW 5 years ago with CM Punk. Would he have let him out of his contract as easily as he did? I would argue not. That's a question for you guys in the chat. Would CM Punk have left as easily as he did when his contract expired? Now, granted, he was fired, but, I mean, that's his side of the story. I believe his side of the story, but he said he was fired. Would that still have happened if AEW was around, if he had other viable options? 5 years ago, there was nothing. There was WWE, and that's about it. Like, they had Ring of Honor and Impact. Punk was not going to either one of those, let's face it. Even New Japan, I would argue, was not as hot then as it is now. I don't think he would have fired him. I don't. I know Vince or Triple H or whatever doesn't like Punk. I don't think he would have fired him, though, just because I don't think he would have wanted to let him go as easily as he did. Maybe he would have made him stay, like Sasha Banks, who's back now getting a push. Oh, that sends a great message. You guys know I went on that Sasha Banks rant a couple weeks ago. God, I fucking hate that. She's back and she gets a push. Bullshit. I hate that. I won't go on a rant about it here, but you can check out the show from 2 weeks ago. John Ritland, the Usos were going to be a part of that drunk driving PSA from WWE, but they got pulled over on the way to the studio. That's funny. I wouldn't know anything about having offensive humor. Just ask Derb. Also, thoughts on the Muhammad's question. Great question here. Ray said, dumb. I swear like a sailor, don't blame me. Yeah, you do. I do too, so that's not... Blame my parents! Blame Mama Marceau and Mrs. Marceau? Papa and Mama Marceau? I don't know about that. John Ritland says, Swiss Miss, the rare time where Cesaro botches. Yes, that's a good pun. I love the puns. FD's question, also thoughts on the whole Spider-Man MCU. Again, I'm already fucking up and we've been on this thing for 30 minutes. MCU fiasco between Disney, Marvel, and Sony, and how it'll affect his MCU appearance. So anyway... yeah, so this, I'll get to, I'm looking at the other comments and I just get distracted. I probably shouldn't be looking at the live chat. I should probably just stick to answering the questions because you guys are distracting me. That's not your fault. That's just because I have like ADHD or something. But anyway, the whole Spider-Man thing, the funny thing is I wrote a whole column about this for nextairwrestling.net. Monday night, I came home from Alexis's to watch when watching Raw on Monday night, And I was just on a roll. I was like, I don't know if anyone else can relate to me on this, but I'm just like, sometimes when I'm writing, I don't want to go to bed, not because I'm not tired, but because I don't want to, like, I'm on a roll, so why would I want to pick that up the next day? You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was just writing up until, like, literally 3 a.m. on Monday about Spider-Man, Marvel, and Sony. And the whole article's up right now in the What Else Is New blog on my website if you want to check it out. I go into more detail there. But in a nutshell, it sucks. I love the MCU. I love the Spider-Man movies. I really didn't care much for the original Spider-Man movies. I'm gonna... I can't look at the chat because you guys are killing me right now. Especially RJ. Jesus Christ. I can't look at the chat. I'm gonna click away. You hear that? That's me clicking away for a couple minutes. Jesus Christ. So with the Sony Spider-Man Marvel thing, it sucks because I love the Spider-Man movies. The original trilogy, I didn't mind, honestly, because I grew up on them. But looking back, I don't think they're that great. People, like, love them. Like, I feel like people love them now than they did more than they did 10 years ago, because we have a new Spider-Man now, and they're feeling more nostalgic. I mean, I guess. I mean, if they were that successful, then they would have made a fourth one, but they didn't. The third one with Venom and all that other shit was pretty bad. They kind of screwed the pooch on that one. But I didn't watch the Amazing Spider-Man ones. I could not have cared two shits. I could not have given two shits about the Amazing Spider-Man. But I loved Homecoming and I love Far From Home. I thought they were two great movies. I just don't know how you can go any further with the Spider-Man character and then not mention Avengers and Iron Man. Iron Man was like most of the movies. If you didn't see Far From Home, then click away now. I don't know why you wouldn't have. Shame on you. It's been out for like 2 months. What rock are you living under? Not named Dwayne Johnson. But the movie was great, but the entire movie was based on Iron Man. The guy's been dead since Endgame, and he wasn't even in the movie, and he was all over the movie. So how can you go ahead with, Spider-Man? The fucking guy, like, took all of Iron Man's technology. Like, he was set up to be the next Tony Stark in Far From Home, okay? How can you go ahead and not mention that in the movies 3 and 4? Honestly, it's better than rebooting it again for the 4th time. I don't think I can bear to see Uncle Ben die again. For like the 5th time, actually, because they said that he died, or I don't know if they didn't show him dying, did they, in the Spider-Man animated movie, Into the Spider-Verse, which was fucking phenomenal, by the way. One of the better animated movies I've seen in a long time. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm really not. I honestly blame Disney. I said screw Sony initially, but after reading more of the details, fuck Disney. They don't need to be making half of the profits. It's a Sony movie. It's their character, for better or for worse. They own the character. If they make the movie, they distribute the movie, then why wouldn't they make most of the profits? Disney already has enough money. With all the other shit they're doing right now, they don't need the money. They just don't. I just think it's really stupid. So, fuck you, Walt Disney, you Nazi. I don't agree with the idea that you're going to be taking half the profits. So, quite honestly, maybe it's not Marvel's fault. It's definitely Disney. Like, again, nothing is impossible. They could patch things up. Like with the whole James Gunn thing. Disney fired him over the controversial tweets that he made 10 years ago. Ooh, like he said something about like being... He made like pedophile-like comments, but the guy was obviously joking. It was 10 years ago. It was a different time. It was a different time on Twitter. I was there back then. I didn't see what he said back then, but I'm not saying that I made pedophile comments, but like... Not as bad as what he said, but like it was a different time. Give the guy a break. They rehired him. This is a little different because it involves money, but still, they could always patch things up. I hope they do. It's gonna be strange to see another Avengers movie. Like, how would they explain his absence? It's not even like they wrote him out or he died in Endgame or whatever. It's not like they wrote him out. They didn't. He's a very big part of the MCU still. It was the first movie released after Endgame. So dumb. So hopefully they can fix things up because I'm not a fan of Disney getting all fucking greedy on them and saying, hey, we want half the profits. Well, fuck you. Fuck you, Disney, is what I got to say. Maybe we'll call this episode Fuck You, Disney. Now we'll go back to the chat. Sweet diagnosis, GSM. I think I have ADHD or something. Hey, you know what? Maybe I do. I have no idea. I have no clue. FD said, for me, She-Hulk, Black Panther 2, Miss Marvel, and the darker Doctor Strange movie are the ones that I'm excited for Phase 4. Yeah, definitely. I agree. She-Hulk, I don't know much about at all. I don't. Black Panther 2, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't really care too much for the first movie. People are going to crucify me for that comment. I didn't really care too much about Black Panther 2. I thought it was a great movie. Great movie. Don't get me wrong. Don't fucking throw me under the bus here. I thought it was a good movie. Just wasn't among my favorites. I don't honestly think I've seen it back. I've watched it back since I saw it in theaters a year and a half ago. But the second one should be good. Miss Marvel, I really don't know much about. The darker Doctor Strange movie, I am looking forward to. I'm a big Guardians guy, so I'm looking forward to that more. That should be awesome with the multiverse shit. I think that could be awesome. But yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Probably the most. Guardians 3, which has yet to be officially announced. I mean, it was announced, but they haven't even started working on it yet, so I don't know. That probably won't be out for a long time. What else is coming out? The Black Widow movie, yeah, good, I guess. I don't know. The Eternals, I guess. I don't really know much about the Eternals and all that other shit, so I really don't have much to say about it. But anyway, all the movies they announced that I think I'm looking forward to. Phase 4 should be good, but I'm just not. I think Phase 5 will be better. Black Panther 2, isn't that in Phase 5? I know they announced that at the Disney Expo or something. Maybe it is Phase 4, but I'm pretty sure it's Phase 5, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I'm so confused. Ross. Graham hates the original Spider-Man trilogy. Everyone stay calm, put the pitchforks into it. Oh, God. John Ritland. Walt Disney, Heyman's least favorite theme park. I get it. Graham just blamed Walt Disney, who has been dead for 60 years, for the Disney Sony. Yeah, fuck Walt Disney. If we're not going to... Oh. We might be back up, folks. We might be back up. Please let me know if you're still listening. All right. All right. I think we're back up now. So I'm hoping that we can just start back up. Or like, it ended, but I'm hoping that when this goes up on the archives, whatever, that it'll just start back up again. But fuck Xfinity. I apologize for that, because my Xfinity, Comcast, whatever, fucked up, and my internet just died. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, that was really annoying. Because of all the times for my internet to die, of course it's going to be when, when we're doing a goddamn live stream. So I think it's working. If you are listening, if you're in the chat, please let me know in the chat, whatever, blah, 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 that you're back, if it's up and running. I think it's working. I'm not 100% sure. I think we are back up and running. Hopefully we can just I don't even know what I was talking about before the thing went on. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? And then it said my internet died. I thought it was a YouTube thing. God fucking damn it. God damn it. That's what happens when you go live, I guess. You deal with shit like that. I probably got to learn to do this somewhere else because my internet here is atrocious. God damn it. I think it's back up and running, though. Well, let's see. I'll just tweet out the link one more time, so bear with me for a second. I know we're like an hour in. I have yet to answer any of the document questions. All right. We're back up and running with hashtag join us for a fun time on YouTube and send in questions. Okay. I was trying to figure out while the thing was down with the, let's see. Internet is wonderful and terrible at the same time. Yes, we are back up. Sorry for the double I think it's working. Pretty sure. I think those are new comments and not comments that were already there. Again, I apologize for that. Hopefully when this goes up in the archives, it won't, play the, because it was out for like 10 minutes, so hopefully it won't play the dead air. I don't think it will. Or split up into 2 parts. I have no idea. So hopefully we can get back to what we were doing before we had the fucking interruption. Jesus Christ. YouTube is great. YouTube, I think, is largely I haven't had many problems with. Xfinity, I don't know what you guys use. I have Xfinity. And maybe it's just because of where I am, but sometimes it can be absolute shit. It can be absolute shit. So hopefully it sticks with us through the remainder of this live stream, and we don't have to keep going back up and down and all this other stuff. I think we had another comment in the chat while I was gone. Let's see. Yeah, I already said fuck Walt Disney. What else were we going on about? Yeah, something's going on in the video. Yeah, I apologize for that. My internet was absolute shit. So hopefully it's working now. But anyway, on that note, guys, if you guys want to send in questions to the show, whether it be to this episode or any other episode of #AskGSM, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/ you guys know the rest. Graham.gsm.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And drop your question down below. I'm fucking all over the place today. Jesus Christ. This is where I would stop the video and restart. Ross, I love you, man. I love you. It's a great comment. We need more GSM streams because this is just hilarious. Yeah, you get to hear me raw and uncensored here because I fuck up a lot and I'm just pissed. Anyway, yeah, I'm botching all over the place today, especially now that I'm just flustered coming off the fucking Xfinity fiasco. But if you want to send in a question on Facebook, do so either on the post that I put up on Tuesday nights or the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, you can drop a question down below in the comment section of this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. And if it's not the comment section, well, if you're listening live right now, you can drop a question in the live chat and I'll answer it live on the air, no matter how ridiculous it may be. Hopefully. There's probably a limit as to how ridiculous you can be. But I'll probably answer your question anyway. God, thank you guys for coming back in. I know John Ritland, I think, is here. FD's back. Ross, I guess, is back as well. So let's get going here. Let's get going with the questions. And what I'll probably do, just because I get distracted so goddamn easily, I will probably go to the document, answer maybe 3 or 4 questions, if that, and then check back to the live chat. Because if I leave the live chat open while I'm answering the questions here, I will get so sidetracked, it's not even funny. You guys have already known that because I've been doing this now for how long? About an hour? 58 minutes? RJ, finally, GSM has come back to YouTube. And Jared, you are right. Jimmy Uso is driving the stream, and then he proceeded to get a Raw Tag Team title push. Dervinator said something funny before that I didn't get to read on the air. Oh, yeah, here it is. My name is GSM, and I'm here to do good lucha question things. Oh, God damn it. Woo! Yeah, from the draft a couple of years ago. Oh, God, I love that. Great reference. Anyway, let's get to your questions. So let's see. Starting with Brandon A. from, I wrote down Facebook, but it's actually YouTube. God damn it. His question was, happy 300th. I figured what better day to start sending in questions again than your 300th episode. I've been listening still to each show despite my absence. And thank you, Brandon. You've been with the show now for a while. Brandon always sends in great questions from through YouTube. So thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. He said, I will only ask one question since it will be a long one. Each year, I usually ask a G1 Climax-related question using WWE superstars. So I will do the same thing this year, but with a catch. Pick the 10 Raw and SmackDown guys you would have compete in a G1 this year, but you can't use anyone who's in the King of the Ring tournament. Ignore the dumb wild card rule and keep Block A Raw stars and keep Block B SmackDown stars. Who would you have go to the finals, and ultimately, who would you have win? Thanks for all the hard work you do and the great content you give us every week. Congrats. Again, thank you, Brandon. Appreciate the support. There would be no me, as cliche as it sounds, without you guys, so thank you for that. But to answer his question, this was a tough one. It really was, because to make a climax with 20 guys, 10 from Raw, 10 from SmackDown, but that they're not in King of the Ring, and King of the Ring is 16 guys. 8 from Raw, not even, is it? 8 from Raw? Yeah, it's 8 from Raw, 8 from SmackDown. That's a lot of guys, and a lot of the guys in the King of the Ring I would put in the climax. So I was left with a lot of scraps here, and you're going to be like, well, you would put that guy in the G1 Climax? Yeah, I would, and you'll hear why. So from Raw, I would you got to put in the top 2 top talents. Rey Mysterio, I think would be really cool to see in the G1 Climax. Bobby Roode, EC3, I know the guy's a fucking loser, but someone's got to take the pinfall losses in this thing, so EC3's there for that. Braun Strowman, Kalisto, again, you got to scrap at the bottom of the barrel of this thing because a lot of the guys on Raw are tag team guys. So there really weren't many singles competitors that it could have used. Kalisto's really good, though, so throw him in there as a good spot guy with good lucha things. Bray Wyatt, who I was kind of skeptical to include in the beginning, but you need to fill out the top 10 somehow, so I would throw in Bray Wyatt. Why the fuck not? Doesn't have to lose, don't get pinned, but like, if he's the Fiend, maybe he gets DQ'd a few times. I'm not sure how that would work, but you can work around it. And then Heath Slater. And now that's going to sound like a joke, like, why Heath Slater? Now, I almost included Titus O'Neil, but I know I would never forgive myself if I did that. So I'm going to put in Slater because we had Toru Yano in the last couple of years of G1 Climax. He actually beat Jon Moxley at one point. He's like the resident comic relief in the G1 Climax every year. So I think Heath Slater could be the Toru Yano of the WWE G1 Climax. So that's the Raw guys. SmackDown, I would include Aleister Black, Shinsuke Nakamura, who's probably been in one before, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton. And the SmackDown one was a lot easier to fill out because they had better guys. Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor, Lars Sullivan, if we're not counting injuries here, Roman Reigns, and Sheamus. Now, I almost included Rusev, and you're probably wondering, why would you put in Sullivan over Rusev? Because you need a fellow big guy to kind of counteract Braun Strowman. So I think Sullivan and Strowman kind of cancel each other out. So that's why I would put Sullivan in there. And I actually like Sullivan, so I know I'm in the minority when I say that. But Sheamus, I think, would be awesome. I think I would honestly put in Sheamus over Rusev, just because Sheamus, I think, would do a lot better. Rusev, I've just given up on the guy at this point. But your question was, who would you have go to the finals, and ultimately, who would you have win? Well, from Raw, it's either AJ or Seth, I think. All the other guys are really non-factors, except for maybe Bray Wyatt. It's got to be AJ, I think. I think AJ beats out Rollins to win for the Raw side. From the SmackDown side, I was going to say Daniel Bryan, but I feel like that's just too obvious. And we've seen AJ and Bryan before multiple times in 2018 and 2019. So I wouldn't have it be Daniel Bryan instead. And then go on to face either, honestly, if AJ Styles is world champion at that point, that'd be awesome. But Rollins would be cool. We've seen Rollins and Balor a lot, but I think they'd work well together. And then from SmackDown, I guess he could face, I don't think Kofi's going to be champion by Mania, but like Balor could face Orton. That'd be an idea. Bray Wyatt. Actually, Bray Wyatt would make sense. If Bray Wyatt becomes Universal Champion, he could face him. Then a rematch from SummerSlam. Maybe Balor wins as the Demon. Personally, I'd have The Fiend win, but it's just an idea. This is all fantasy booking. We'll never see it happen anyway. But yeah, great question from Brandon. I like that a lot. And that's without including the King of the Ring guy, so it was tough. Joe M. from Facebook, and maybe after this question we'll go back to the live chat again. I got to stay away from the live chat just for a couple minutes just because it's not your guys' fault. I just get so easily distracted because you guys are so fucking entertaining. Joe's first question: in your next Air Wrestling review after his match in the Breakout Tournament, I got the impression that you weren't the biggest fan of Dexter Lumis. Is there any particular reason for this? I don't know what he was like in Impact, but everything I've seen from him so far, from his look to his entrance the guy bores me to tears. You are absolutely right. I am not the biggest fan at all of Dexter Lumis, a.k.a. what was his name from Impact? I was going to say Sean Spears. God, I don't remember. I'm going to have to ask you guys. This is where the live chat kind of comes in handy here. What was his name in Impact? Was it... I don't remember. Please someone let me know in the live chat. I'd appreciate it. Real quick, we'll catch up in the live chat before we go any further. Ross, I laughed too hard. You're not going to hear me, Ron. That's fine. I'll get to your question in a second, Jared. Aaron, thank you for joining us, Graham, my man Aaron Kendrick in the live chat. Appreciate you joining us, my man. Aaron, we're doing a radio show tomorrow, his radio show. I'll be chiming in with my thoughts and predictions and preview for AEW All Out, so check that out. I'll definitely tweet out the link, put it on Facebook. Aaron, thank you for joining us here in the live chat. Appreciate it, my man. FD, I'll get to your question in a little bit. Loomis with Sam Shaw. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it. Sam Shaw from Impact. So, yeah, I was not the biggest fan of him, to be honest with you. I don't know. He did a lot of like weird shit, and I know that was the whole point. It was supposed to be a ripoff of that movie American Psycho with Christian Bale. I watched the movie once. You guys are gonna crucify me for this comment. Don't really care about American Psycho. And you guys are going to be like, oh, what a pansy. But I'm going to be honest with you. My roommate showed it to me because he was like pushing it on me. He's like, dude, you got to watch this movie. I'm like, I don't really care to watch it, but I will. And that's probably what turned me off on the movie. But as soon as he killed the dog or kicked the dog or whatever it was, and I heard he came back to life or it wasn't real or it was a dream, the doggy violence, I don't like. Justice for the puppers. I don't like when dogs get kicked or hurt or anything in movies, so I'm like, I'm not watching the rest of this. I'm sorry. I don't like that at all. But I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about. Oh yeah, Sam Shaw was a very American Psycho-esque character. He did nothing for me then, and I give him props because he plays the character really well. He's very dedicated to it. It doesn't really seem like it's a good fit for wrestling, though. And I guess you could say the same thing about The Fiend and all that other shit that Bray Wyatt does, but he's at least exciting and cool. Like, Sam Shaw just looks like a fucking pedophile. Like, keep him 50 feet away from an elementary school type of guy. You know what I mean? And not in like a way where like, oh, I'm interested to see what he does next. He just bored me to tears. The Bronson Reed match bored me to tears. So, again, I don't really think the character really complements his in-ring style well. I'm just not a fan of his. I'm just not, so... Yeah, that's Dexter Lumis for you. I don't think he's bad. I just don't really think it's a great character, and it just doesn't really do much for me personally. If you like it, if you think it's great, that's awesome. Personally, I'm not a big fan. Joe M's second question, is there any chance of Ali going all the way in the King of the Ring tournament? Dude, there's always a chance. People thought McIntyre would win. He got knocked out first round. I saw people saying that it would come down to Owens and McIntyre in the finals, which made a lot of sense. Both guys were knocked out in the first round, so anything can happen. I don't think he will. I'm sticking with my original prediction, even though I don't think it's happening. I do think Andrade is still winning the whole thing. That was my pick from the beginning, and I'm going to stick with Andrade. But I'm going to go with Andrade versus Cedric Alexander in the finals. Now, I think the more obvious pick is Ricochet versus Andrade. But then who do you have face AJ for the United States Championship? You know? I just don't really think that makes much sense. So I would have it be Ricochet and AJ and then do Ali, or rather Andrade and... I guess I could do Ali and Cedric. I think that'd actually be kind of cool in the finals, given their 205 Live history. But yeah, so I would do Andrade and Cedric in the finals. Ali could go all the way. You never know. I'll say Andrade and Alexander now, but it could very well end up being Ali. But, yeah, I thought he had a great performance last night. The match with Buddy Murphy was a lot of fun. And Joe M's third question here before we go back to the live chat. Thoughts on the special look of Rise of the Skywalker, the return of Darth Sidious, the Emperor, whatever, Palpatine. I thought that was cool. But the thing is, though, I've been telling people this for like the last month or so. They came out with that trailer in May. Now, I realize they're not going to come out with the second one until like a little closer to the movie, which is what they did. The movie doesn't come out for another 4 months, so I get it. There's no hype for me. There's really not, and I'm a big Star Wars guy. Maybe it's because I'm so enamored with the MCU and Endgame and how amazing that payoff was to the MCU and everything else over the last 11 years. But the thing is that with Star Wars, I'm not going to lie to you. Again, I like the 7th movie. I honestly have not hated a movie they have done yet from the recent Star Wars movies, except for Solo. Solo sucked. I'm sorry, Solo bored me to tears. I never fall asleep during movies. I almost fell asleep during Solo. I have not seen it since. Don't care to. Just did nothing for me. Just kind of a waste of a movie, to be honest with you. I thought the actor was okay, but the movie, like, oh, this movie sucks, or it was the greatest of all time. I really liked it personally. But there's no buzz. No buzz. Like, not nearly as much buzz as you would hope for the last apparent installment of the Star Wars saga. Just do no buzz. No buzz. I thought the trailer, Rise of the Skywalkers, okay, most of the trailer focuses on the Skywalkers in the last, 8 movies, whatever. But, I don't know. They should focus more on the current stuff, what's coming up in the 9th movie. And they did at the end, and it was kind of cool, but I wasn't like, holy shit, I can't wait until December 15th. Is that when it comes out? December 15th or 13th, whatever? I think it's something around there. I think it's the 14th. I think the 15th was Star Wars I think that was the last one. Anyway, pretty sure it's the 13th or the 20th. I think it's the 20th, actually, the more that I think about it. Either way, I just have no hype. No hype for Star Wars Episode 9. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I would like to know what you guys think. Are you excited for Star Wars 9? Are you excited for it? Are you not excited for it? Do you give two shits about Star Wars? Probably not. I love the MCU. I love Skywalker, the Star Wars series. We've spoken more for the last hour about the MCU and Star Wars than we have wrestling, but hey, that's what the stream is all about. I love answering questions that have nothing to do with professional wrestling. Real quick, let's check in the live chat. Glad to be here from Aaron, he said. Glad to be here. Now stop disparaging the good goddamn name of Dexter Loomis. Oh, God, the guy does nothing for me. I'm sorry. Guy bores me to tears. The name was also taken from Sam Loomis from the Halloween series. I'm a huge mark for Michael Myers. How did I not know that? How the fuck did I not know that? I remember Detective Loomis from the Halloween series. I watched the movies when the last one came out, which I thought was fantastic. I loved it. Ray, or RJ, I'm going to keep on fucking calling him Ray. He said Sam Chateau. I'm going to go back and answer your questions now. I know you guys had some questions from earlier. I'll answer these real quick before we go any further so I don't forget about them. From Jared, #AskJSim300, with 205 Live doing its most inspired work in NXT, having guys like Miles, Swerve, and Garza coming in. Should we get a second Cruiserweight Classic in, or with the company, within company talent, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I think they could use people that aren't currently in the company, absolutely. I don't know who that would be. But the thing is, actually, yes, I do know who that would be, because I answered this question a couple weeks ago here on the show, and I looked up free agents that they could use. Now, it's a different story now than it would be in a couple of weeks, a couple months, whatever, because people are always becoming free agents. Like, for example, Marty Scurll would be perfect, but I don't think we're getting Marty Scurll in a CWC. I don't think he has any interest. Flip Gordon would be perfect. Andrew Everett, I think he might still be an Impact. Actually, no, he left. He'd be cool in an Impact, or not in an Impact. Non-WWE talent, because they've scooped up everybody. And like you said, they have Swerve, they have Miles, they have Garza, and they were all just in the breakout tournament. But they could do another one with guys like that. Throw in, Joaquin Wilde, whatever his name is, DJZ, from Impact. There's a couple other people that I'm not thinking of right now. But, yeah. So, yeah, totally, they could do another Cruiserweight Classic. But the thing is, Jared, they kind of already have. If you really think about it, they kind of already did a Cruiserweight Classic on 205 Live going into WrestleMania the last couple of years. They did one before WrestleMania 34. They did one before WrestleMania 35 with the winners getting title shots at WrestleMania, which is cool. And I think that's awesome. So we've kind of already seen it, and they've used 205 Live talent, or rather NXT talent in those before, like Buddy Murphy. I think he was in it. And Oney Lorcan was in it this year, and he ended up becoming a big part of 205 Live, so yeah, they kind of already do it, but they could do a better job of it, because I love that original CWC. As good as those tourneys were on 205 Live last year and this year, I thought the Cruiserweight Classic one, I don't know if will ever be topped, just because it was so good. It was really, really good. From FD in the chat, let's see if I can find his question. Are you excited also to see female Thor for Thor Love and Thunder movie coming up in Phase 4? Yes, I am. Thor 4 should be great, and the return of Natalie Portman is really cool to hear about. I'm looking forward to that. I think the movie should be awesome. I loved Ragnarok. I mean, who didn't like Ragnarok? Ragnarok was awesome. So I think the fourth Thor movie, that's a tongue twister, the fourth Thor movie should be really, really good. The return of Natalie Portman should be great. Just bring in Korg, and I'm content. Honestly. Like, Korg is great. Korg really made Ragnarok, in my opinion. I love Korg. So hopefully they can, make the movie that much better. I love Korg. Let's see here. Any other questions in the chat before we move on? John's comments are great. Aaron, let's see. Oh, John actually said, fair take on American Psycho. Besides Christian Bale's performance, it wasn't very good. I've heard people say it was like a modern-day classic. Maybe I'm just listening to the wrong people. But, I don't really care for the movie, but, I mean, Bale was great. Don't get me wrong, Bale was awesome. I just didn't like the dog scene, that's all. That's just because I'm a pansy. Aaron's comment, if you want to get Cedric... this is the thing, guys. This is where I would stop the fucking video and restart it, because I botch a lot, so I apologize. But we're live, pal. We're live. Aaron's question or comment, maybe it's just slow down. Take a second to breathe. But who wants to do that? If you want to put Cedric Alexander over the moon, book him to beat Ricochet. Andrade goes over. Cedric in the finals. Andrade goes over. Wait, what? I'm confused. Book him to beat Ricochet. Andrade beats Cedric in the finals. Andrade goes over. Cedric... Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. Aaron, you're a genius. I misread that because I'm an idiot. Andrade goes over. Cedric gets over. Yes, absolutely. I said that earlier. Andrade, Cedric in the finals would be great. Cedric would get over big by not winning. I think he gains a lot from losing. In looking good in defeat. That can only work so many times, but I think it would work in that circumstance. Hey, I wouldn't complain if Cedric won. I don't think he is, though. I think Andrade gets more heat by beating the fan favorite in Cedric. And the gimmick works better for Andrade with Zelina Vega being his queen. I think it just works perfectly. So I totally agree with that assessment. Ross said, I don't know if I want to see AJ and Ricochet again. AJ could easily face Alexander, seeing as he'd be getting a small push. As he's getting a small push. Well, the pay-per-view's coming up in like 2 or 3 weeks. Do they have enough time to build the Alexander versus AJ? I mean, don't get me wrong, that match would be amazing. I remember seeing it on an AJ Styles DVD a couple of years ago, and it was awesome. I just don't know how you get to that point. I guess you could have him win like a number one contenders match. I mean, that's an option. Jeremy said here in the chat, have Mysterio face Styles a clash. That's a better idea just because at least he's not... They're doing that thing with him right now where he's like, oh, I don't know if I can come back, blah, blah, blah. And he has to retire. I guess. I guess that would actually make sense, but I feel like it's a little too soon. Again, I want to see AJ and Mysterio. I feel like it's too soon, though. Build to that for down the road. Have just Mysterio face Ricochet. I would have Ricochet win the title back because he's lost enough recently, so I would give him the title, but that's just me. FD said, I'm saying Ricochet because he was King Ricochet, so to him being King of the Ring makes absolute sense. I agree. He did have that gimmick on the independent scene, so it would make sense. Let's see. John said, Aaron. Solo was fucking good. The Last Jedi was blasphemous. Well, listen, Aaron, your opinion is irrelevant. It's actually not, but... I'm of the opposite opinion. Solo sucked. I liked Last Jedi, so suck on that, Aaron. Suck on that. I'm unsubscribing because of this. Aaron, what the heck? I'm going to be on your show tomorrow. We can't have this type of animosity between each other. It's on a day in December, LOL. Yeah, I think it's December 20th. I'm pretty sure it's right before Christmas. Star Wars Episode 9. Honestly, I shouldn't even have planned. I should not have even planned on you guys sending in the questions through Facebook and Twitter this week because I'm just looking at the chat because I still have like 2.5 pages to go and I have to get going soon. Jesus Christ, this is all my fault. Next time we shouldn't even do questions. I should not even ask for questions in the document. Maybe because I thought no one would, chime in on the chat, but there's a lot of you guys right now, so I really appreciate it. But anyway, John said in the chat, I don't get the hate for the Disney Star Wars movies, not directed at you, Graham. I've never been the biggest Star Wars fan, but they were fine movies. Yeah, I've always liked them. I've always been a bigger Marvel guy. The funny thing is, I've liked Star Wars longer. I've liked Star Wars dating back since I was in like elementary school. I've always really, really liked Star Wars. But I've just been way more hyped for Avengers Endgame. And maybe it's because I've like a slight thing of OCD. I don't know if I'm officially diagnosed with OCD. Who the fuck knows? But I'm very organized. And I feel like with the consistency in the logical advancements, and I'm trying to sound more like smarter than I actually am, even though I'm not. But like just Marvel, everything they do just makes sense. Star Wars does a lot of things that just don't make sense. And maybe it's because the movies come out more frequently than Star Wars does. I don't know. But I just love I'm way higher on the Marvel stuff right now, and I have been for years now, than I am the Star Wars stuff. But the movies are really good, really bad. I feel like you're either a Star Wars guy or a Star Trek guy, or neither, I guess. I never cared for Star Trek, but that was just me. John also said, I plan to see It Chapter 2 the first day it comes out, so now that's something I'm hyped for. Yes, John. Fucking preach. I am looking forward to It Chapter 2. The last movie I saw... What movie did I see recently? I went to go see something with Alexis. I don't remember what it was. I saw Stuber. The Crawl movie sucked. I don't know if you saw that, John. I feel like you did. I feel like that's a movie that you would watch / review. That movie sucked. The alligator movie that came out, I don't know how long it was out for, but it was terrible. Stuber was way better. Stuber was awesome. But I definitely remember, I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Honestly, bold opinion here, didn't care too much for it. Really didn't. Quentin Tarantino movies are great, and I could see why people liked it. I appreciate the movie, but I wouldn't go see it again. It just really dragged on for me. I know you, John, liked it. I watched your review. Alexa shit on it all over it. She hated that movie. I thought it was good. I liked it for what it was. I thought it was a good movie, but definitely I would not see it again. But maybe that was the last movie I saw. Honestly, that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Probably was, because I don't remember any other movies. Oh, no, I saw Hobbs and Shaw. I saw Hobbs and Shaw a couple weeks ago, which I thought was really good. But I really don't care to see many other movies in the remainder of 2019, except for It Chapter 2 and Star Wars. But that's really about it. Maybe there's other movies I'm not thinking of, but I'm looking forward to those movies more than anything else. I know there's like... Aaron said, Ready or Not is a fucking great movie. You guys should all go check it out. Is Ready or Not like the hide and seek movie? Is that with Margot? No, it's not with Margot Robbie. Maybe it is with Margot Robbie. Or is it with the chick that looks like Margot Robbie? And it's like a murder movie. It's a horror movie, whatever. I think it is. But, yeah, I don't know. I saw the preview for that. If it's getting high praise from you, Aaron, then maybe I'll check it out. But, yeah, I don't know. The only real movies I'm really looking forward to are It Chapter 2 and Star Wars. I know that wasn't anyone's question, but I'm just here babbling on the show. This is more of like a chat with you guys, and it really is answering questions. Jeremy, had Mysterio or Cedric face AJ at Clash? Yeah, we already got to that. Korg was my absolutely favorite part of Ragnarok. Yes, he was awesome, Aaron. I totally agree. Zach's question. Zach, thanks for joining us, dude. Glad to have you here in the chat. Zach's been a longtime friend, follower of the show. Zach is awesome. I have not been to a show with Zach in a few years now, so I'll have to catch up at some point in the MA area. But his question was, do you think the boat has sailed on another Miz World title run? I was 100% for it in 2016, 2017, but I don't think WWE cares anymore at this point. Yes, but here's the thing. Having 2 titles helps, and I feel like we all said the same thing in 2012, 2013, 2014, even in 2015. It really wasn't until he revived his career in 2016 that people were saying, like, Miz for world champion. They should have pulled the trigger on it then. They should have put the WWE title at that point on him at that point. They didn't. Fuck them for not doing that, for not striking while the iron was hot with the Miz. And honestly, he was great earlier this year too as a babyface, but they kind of pooped on his babyface run, so I wasn't really all that hot about that. I wasn't, overly enthusiastic about them ruining his babyface run. But, they still could. They could. I think there's a chance. I don't think the ship has sailed. It's not as likely as it was a year or two ago, but you never know. Especially with 2 titles, and there's only so many people who could beat Rollins for that championship, because, let's face it, they have a stacked roster, but there's only so many people that, that they could have beat Rollins for the championship. Probably The Fiend, but anyway. I don't think the ship has sailed. We'll see. There's definitely a chance. Ross said, and thank you for that question, Zach, Mysterio versus Styles and Dominic cost Ray. Oh, that's so WWE booking. I could so see that happening. That's so funny. That was from Ross. John said, let's see. Oh, God, there's a lot of questions. A lot of comments here. Goddamn. Jared, should the Undisputed Era stay together when they get called up, or should they split them in NXT to get the maximum reaction out of it? No, they shouldn't split up at all. I don't know why they should absolutely stay together when they get called up. They would be death. Honestly, for all 4 of them if they get split up. I'm not going to lie to you. I think this is perfect for Cole. It's so perfect. Honestly, the person who would be worst off would be Roderick Strong. Because the guy was floundering before Undisputed Era. And I liked Roderick Strong. He was doing well for himself as a babyface. But he's way better as a heel. He's way better with those guys than he is on his own. Despite the fact that he's a tremendous professional wrestler. They should absolutely not split them. I feel like that would be the worst thing they could possibly do. WWE will split them up eventually. I can guarantee you of that. A lot like they did with the Wyatt family 5 times over. But they should not do it in NXT. I know it would get a great reaction, but... Same thing with the New Day. If it works, why break them up? I think Kofi and Big E and maybe even Xavier can fly on their own. Undisputed Era, not so much. Red Dragon's great, but they're a charisma vacuum on their own. And so is Roderick Strong. Cole, I think, could do well on his own, but it's just so much better with the gimmick. It's so much better with the stable, so I wouldn't split them up at all, let alone in NXT at this point, especially now that they're closed. Got the key from Eric. Jared, let's see. To be honest, Solo and Last Jedi were both fun. Rogue One was my least favorite of the new ones. I liked Rogue One a lot. I thought Rogue One was great. That's just me. FD, let's go with my question on your document, since one question I've been overdue for a long time. Yeah, honestly, let's get to FD's question real quick. I got to answer all the ones from the document, and we have a lot of them. So I'm just going to go through the document here. What are your thoughts on Defiant Wrestling / What Culture Pro Wrestling closing down last month? Do you feel that the absence of major UK talents and the effect of NXT UK has influenced the closure, since I saw the talent pool before its closure lacked the star power that they had before? Also, what could this mean for the future of British independent wrestling and how NXT UK have affected them in general? That is an awesome question, FD. Awesome question. Yeah, NXT UK had a lot to do with the closure of What Culture. They took a lot of their talent. A lot of those guys that you see on NXT UK were a big part of What Culture. Joe Coffey being among them, Zach Gibson, he was a big part of Progress, so that's why they stopped appearing for What Culture. Honestly, I write for What Culture, but I just did not see the boom sticking. I feel like he got really hot really quickly and faded out really quickly. They were hot for like at least a year, and then people just stopped talking about them. The promotion. The wrestling promotion. I didn't really get to see much of it. I didn't really buy into the hype. Again, I write for the site. I just didn't even really care about it just because it sort of defined 100%. 100%. Because they took a lot of their talent. Not to say that NXT UK is lighting the world on fire. They have a great roster, but like John Ritlin has said before here on the show, they have no buzz. There's zero buzz for NXT UK. They're airing live on Saturday. It should be a great show, but I feel like no one's really talking about it. So NXT UK had a lot to do with the closure of Defiant, though. What does this mean for the British independent wrestling scene, though? I think it's just fine. Progress is still running. I know the owner, Jim Smallman, something like that. I know he left the promotion. I don't know why. But they're still going strong, largely because they're working with WWE. They're doing a Mustache Mountain versus Matt Riddle and Keith Lee match on one of their upcoming shows, probably to sell tickets. I don't know if they're doing well attendance-wise. The show I went to with Progress a couple years ago had amazing attendance, almost too good, because they sold out the place and it was fucking hot in there and people were throwing up left and right. It was hot. It was in August. It was in New York City, Queens in New York. I forgot what chapter it was, what event installment of Progress it was. It was hot in there, though. Great show, though. I think it was Matt Riddle versus Walter in the main event, and that's how I got to know Matt Riddle and Walter. But yeah, I think it's still going strong. It's not as hot as it was a couple years ago, the UK wrestling scene, but it's still doing pretty well for itself. I think Japan is kind of where it's at right now. The US with the AEW. AEW took a lot of buzz away from a lot of different companies. So AEW had a lot to do with it, but largely NXT UK 100%. Let's finish out FD's questions here before we go back to the chat. Do you feel that the effect of the upcoming Wednesday Night Wars between NXT and AEW will be better in terms of the quality of wrestling and their contents, since they will be able to provide to casual and hardcore wrestling fans in comparison to the Monday Night Wars before with Monday Night Raw and WCW Monday Nitro? So let's see if I'm getting your question right here. So you're saying, will the Wednesday Night Wars be better in terms of the wrestling quality and what they're able to provide to casual fans and hardcore wrestling fans, stuff like that, as compared to the Attitude Era? Really, honestly, I think it's all subjective. The Wednesday Night Wars, they might be better than the Monday Night Wars, just quality-wise in terms of shows, just because it's better wrestling. But back then, people didn't give a fuck about wrestling. Were people really complaining back then that, Mankind versus, Naked Midian went 2 minutes? Did people really care back then? Maybe a little bit, but people didn't care about that. They cared about fucking tits and ass and swearing and beer. For the most part, it was the Attitude Era, That shit, that success will never be replicated. Monday Night War, Wednesday Night War, Sunday Night Wars, it doesn't matter. That shit will never be replicated. TV is not the same. Wrestling is not the same. Back then it was special, though. Back then it was different because you could only watch one or the other. I know you have to choose between NXT and AEW, but you can always watch NXT afterward. It's on the network the next day. You can record it. You can watch both at the same time. One on your phone, one on the TV, one on your laptop, blah, blah, blah. So it's not going to be the same. It will never surpass the Monday Night Wars. They were so iconic for what they meant for both promotions, for the decline of WCW, and then later the popularity and rise of WWE again, and all the stars it made. It was a totally different time. We'll see. NXT versus AEW should be good. Hopefully they put forth their best effort and they don't just fucking roll over and die. And they make people want to tune into their respective show, and I feel like they will, because NXT and AEW I feel like is a better match than AEW and Raw. Like Raw, the quality is not that good, and Raw they'll never beat them, and maybe they will beat them in the ratings at some point, who knows, but I feel like AEW and NXT in terms of who they're catering to is the better war than AEW versus Raw or SmackDown or whatever. And then their third question, FT's third question here. This is a bit of a long one, but I like it though. Do you feel that the proposal from Kota Ibushi, which he suggested wanting to not only cash in his G1 Climax victory for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom at Tokyo Dome next January, but also wanting to aim for the IC title held by Tatsuya Naito in a match at the same show, both as main events in separate days with the new 2-day Wrestle Kingdom format, could benefit Kota Ibushi in New Japan as a whole in the long run in cementing Ibushi as the next top star in New Japan once he wins both belts. Also, which one would you feel is better? Kota Ibushi's proposal, as mentioned earlier, or Tetsuya Naito's, I botched that, I apologize, Tetsuya Naito's earlier proposal right before the G1 Climax for winning the same title Ibushi's proposal aimed at, which fell short. I don't know what the fuck their second question was. But to answer the first part of your question with Ibushi, basically what you're saying is this, is that Ibushi, he wants to go for the IC title on one day and then the world title on the next day. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's ever been done before, because obviously most pay-per-views don't go 2 days. I don't like the 2-day format. I would just get a show over in one day. At least for a show like that. I know, I don't know. I mean, they had tournaments and stuff that stretch across 2 days, but for a WrestleMania, I would never want it to be 2 days. Just get it over with. It just kind of ruins the specialness for me personally. But honestly, I don't really pay too much attention to New Japan, but I did hear about that. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. If Ibushi went for both belts, won both belts, I don't know what that would mean for both championships, if he would continue to defend them, I don't know. Ibushi should be the world champion, though. He's been IC champion before. If he loses that, fine. But honestly, he could pull a Bret Hart. He could lose the first match, but win the main event of the Tokyo Dome the next day and become the world champion. Like Bret Hart did at WrestleMania 10, where he lost to Owen Hart in the opener of WrestleMania 10, but won the world championship a little later on in the show. They could do the same thing with him, just on 2 separate days. So honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that. If he wins both belts, cool, but would he defend them? Would he vacate them? He's already held the IC title. It's not like both titles are on the line in the same match. That'd be different. I do want to see Kota as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, though. I feel like that's something that has to happen eventually. The guy deserves it. He signed a long-term contract in New Japan, I believe, at least for 2 years. And it's been a long time coming. I just wish this would have happened sooner, so we could have gotten Ibushi versus Omega for the title one-on-one, but that's just what it is. So back to the live chat real quick. Before we go any further with the questions, I'm going to just go through these. Zach said, you got to tell the Uber lol story again soon. It sounds so much better coming from you. I will tell it quickly here. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we're an hour and a half in and I have a ton of questions to go. So here's the Uber story. I've told this story before. If any of you have been subscribed to my channel for any substantial period of time, I told this story, I think 2 years ago. Either 2 or 3 years ago here in the channel, or 2 or 3 years ago here in the channel, various different times. I definitely told it on Facebook a few years ago. But in case you haven't already heard it, I thought this was a great story, so I will share this because this is the 300th episode of #AskGSM, all about stories and fun times and your guys' comments and stuff like that. So here it is. About 3 years ago, I had to do a project for school on professional wrestling. Or, I didn't have to, but that's what I chose to do it on. Side note, I've done at least a dozen projects for school on professional wrestling. Between high school, my undergrad, graduate school, I've done a number of projects on wrestling for graduate school, which is comical, but I've gotten A's on all of them because I fucking love wrestling. And if you like something and you know what you're talking about, it's a lot easier to do a project on. But anyway, I had to do a project on wrestling injuries. And for the project, I had to record a bunch of audio from wrestling matches and record interviews with wrestling stars. In order to do that, I had to do it in person, not over the phone. So I looked up upcoming shows in the Massachusetts area because I was still at Endicott College at the time in Beverly, Mass. I wasn't home. I couldn't go to any Connecticut shows. I did go to a Northeast wrestling show before the project was due to get additional interviews, which was cool. But I did, I got mostly interviews from this show that we went to. So I looked up upcoming shows. There was one in Lowell, Mass. Had never been there before. I asked RJ to go. He was busy, didn't want to go, whatever. So I went. I was going to go alone, but I told Zach about it, and I think Zach said he wanted to go, or I asked him to go just because he knows the area better than I do. I don't know how that came about. Zach would know. Maybe he can answer in the chat for me. But we wanted to go, and I didn't know anyone on the show. It was a chaotic wrestling show. I'd never been to chaotic before. Ron Simmons was on the show. That was like the biggest name there. A couple different people that were on that show ended up becoming big stars elsewhere. Christian Casanova, who goes as Killanova in Northeast Wrestling. He's had some success there. Brian Malonis of the Bouncers and Ring of Honor was on that show. Donovan Dijak was on that show, who's now in NXT. Flip Gordon was on the show. This was the first time I had seen any of these people, except for obviously Dijak. I'd seen him in Ring of Honor before. So to get there, it was a haul. It was a haul because I didn't have a car on campus. So what I did, God, if I remember this correctly, I had to take an Uber. Not an Uber. This was before I knew what Uber was, and I'll get to that part in a second. I had to take a taxi from my college to the train station. So I took a taxi from there to the train station. The train into South Station in Boston, which is where the TD Garden is in Boston. Went to the South Station in Boston, and then I took another taxi from there to the other train station, I think North Station maybe, to get to Lowell. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Pretty sure that's how you get to Lowell is by going through there, through the North Station. They have other additional trains. So we went from there to there, and then I took a train from there over to Lowell. And it was about 45 minutes. I met Zach in Boston. I got McDonald's before I saw him. I was waiting for him. Met Zach. That was not the first time I met Zach, though. We'd actually already met in person. I've known Zach on Twitter, through Twitter, since like 2012. We've known each other for a long time. I'd met him in person when I went to TLC at the Garden a few months earlier. So I had already known Zach, known what he looked like, whatever. So I found him. We left for the show. Everything was fine. We got to the train station. We were trying to figure out how to get to the show from there. And again, this was before I knew what Uber was, before I had the app, whatever. I use Uber all the time now. I think it's just great. I love the Uber service. I've never had really a bad experience with Uber. And this is where it started. I didn't know what Uber was then. So we had to take, not a taxi, but a bus from the train station to as close to the venue as we could possibly get. And thankfully, Zach was there with me, because if he wasn't, I probably would have been mugged or something, or been scared out of my mind, because it was kind of a sketchy area. But the bus dropped us off as close to the venue as we could, probably about a mile out. And this was in April of 2016, so the weather wasn't too bad. And we walked over there at a high school gym. We got there right before the show started. Got to meet Ron Simmons, have a great picture with him. Met Ron Simmons. Talked to the wrestler. Scotty Slade was also there, interviewed him. He was one half of, I think, Best Friends. Team Friendship was the tag team name, him and Mark Sherman. He was a nurse, so I talked to him. But all the wrestlers said, yeah, we don't really have time during intermission, so just talk to us after the show. I'm like, okay, cool, because I had to interview them, right? And I also get audio from the matches. And the show was cool. Don't really remember much about the show itself. I just remember talking to the wrestlers. And they were all very nice, all very gracious with their time. I got to talk to Scotty Slade, Christian Casanova, Flip Gordon, and Dijak. I have interviews with all four of them. So you can hear my interviews with Gordon and Dijak before they joined the Ring of Honor and NXT here on the channel, which is cool, on the playlist tab. So we talked to them. Everything's going great. It's like 11:30, and we're gonna take the train back to Boston. That's how you get back there. Because I was thinking of, well, originally my roommate was gonna pick me up from the Boston train station and take me home, and then Zach was gonna go home from Boston, take the train home from there. And all I was really worried about was the last train leaving out of Boston going back to Beverly, which is where my college was. It was like, 12 o'clock, 12:30. I'm like, perfect. I have plenty of time. I can get there as long as I can catch the train from Lowell to Boston or Golden. And my roommate originally was going to pick me up from the Boston train station and bring me to his house, because there was like some sort of Comic-Con, not the Boston Comic-Con, which I've been to before. There was some sort of Comic-Con in the area in Boston where he was doing a project. His project was on the 501st. It's some sort of Star Wars thing. And he was going to bring me there because Mick Foley was doing an autograph signing, and more importantly, Ric Flair was going to be there. And I never met Ric Flair before. And I said, yeah, sure, that sounds great. I'll probably go back with you. I don't have a change of clothes because he didn't tell me about it until I was on the fucking train. But whatever. I'm like, okay, we'll deal with it later. So I get to the train station. Everything goes fine. I get to the show, blah, blah, blah. We have to get to the train station in order for him to pick me up. I interview all the stars. Zach and I sit down. I'm looking for the trains going from Lowell to Boston. So I call up the train station and I ask, what's the closest bus leaving here, or, whatever. We have to get to the train station. When's the next bus leaving from Lowell to Boston? The woman on the phone goes, I'm not quite sure I understand. I'm like, well, me and my friend, we're in Lowell right now. We're at a wrestling show. We have to leave here to go back to Boston. When's the last train that leaves out? She goes, oh, honey, the last train left like a half an hour ago. I'm like, what? And she says, yeah, we have no more trains leaving from Boston. That's about it. I didn't even think about that. I did not even think about the fact that they would not be running any more trains from Lowell. So I'm like, fuck. What the fuck are we going to do? So I think I interviewed like Flip Gordon in the meantime, trying to stay positive. And you have to always stay positive. My biggest takeaway from this story, and Zach will tell you, and Zach was great about the whole thing. He wasn't freaking out. I wasn't freaking out. You got to remember, you're going to get home somehow. If you freak out and you're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Nothing gets solved. I have encountered that way too many times with various people. It just doesn't solve anything. It's just not a good combo. You got to chill out and just fucking take things day by day, or moment by moment, whatever, and just sit down and think of solutions. Think of solutions. That's all you got to do. Just think of the solutions, and you'll get to where you need to be. So I'm like, how are we going to do this? So we sit down, and I'm like, am I going to pay for a taxi? Am I going to have to walk home? So what I did before I started making calls, I sent a few texts first to a few different people. One to my roommate, asking if he could come pick me up. And he doesn't live far, even though he rooms with me. His college, or his house rather, is not far from where the wrestling school was, or from where the wrestling show was. It wasn't also far from the school. If he drove and he had a car, he could have drove half an hour to pick up me and my friend. We could have dropped off Zach, and then we could have just gone home, back to his house. He wasn't picking up. And I know the motherfucker's up because he's up until 3 a.m. every fucking day like I am. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, this guy's texting me all this meme shit and all this other nonsense. I'm like, you motherfucker, get the fuck back to me. Like, I need you to pick me up, please. Like, for all this shit that I've done for this kid, he ended up puking in our bathroom senior year. He, all this other stuff. And the kid's he's a great kid. But, like, the least he could do to repay me was to come pick me up. I'm not asking you to drive to a different state. It's literally 20 or 30 minutes out of your way. Just bring me back to your house. That's all I'm asking, dude. Didn't get back to me. I'm like, all right, fuck you. Because I called him, didn't pick up, texted him, didn't get back to me. All right, fuck you. So then, this was the real kicker, and Zach always reminds me about this on Twitter. I texted my teacher. Now, I know that sounds weird, but he was also my academic advisor, and he gave me his number, because he was like, oh, in case anything goes wrong, or if you need, send me updates in the show, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. Because he's a really cool guy. Even though he was an asshole that semester, because I dealt with him a lot, and to be honest, I wasn't doing a lot of the assignments, so I could see why he was kind of cold to me or whatever. He was a really cool guy, really enjoyed my academic advisor, all right? So he gave me his number in case, just to give him updates on the show, because I texted him when we first got there saying, hey, I got all the interviews, worked out perfectly. He's like, awesome. And he's the type of guy that would bend over backwards for you, because he's that type of guy. He's just great. So I texted him, I'm like, hey, I'm at the show in Lowell, but we're stuck here. We're stuck here right now because there's no more trains leaving from Lowell. And I didn't say, like, I wasn't going to ask the guy to come pick me up. Like, I don't fucking do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think I texted RJ too, actually. I texted RJ. The kid was already asleep because RJ goes to bed early. He texted me about the show when we got there, and I texted him saying that I got stranded. He went to bed. I think he said he turns his phone off or something like that. He said I should have called him. I don't know. RJ would have been nice enough to come get me, but I don't think I either bothered him or he didn't have his phone on or he went to bed. I forgot. But anyway, so the teacher was my last resort. I was going to see, like, maybe he can help me. Maybe he can say, like, hey, there's a place in Lowell you can stay. There's a hotel there. This is what you can do. Like, I'm expecting him to give me some great advice. And not to ruin, like, I don't want to, like, ruin the story here. So I'm going to look up the exact text because I have it. Let me say. Let me pull it up. So I text the guy at 12:10 a.m. I have it right here because I haven't texted him at all, so it's easy to just to go back. From April 9th, 2016 at 12:10 a.m. I say, "Hey, it's Graham. Show was good and got plenty of audio, but the bad news is there's no trains going back to Boston or Beverly, so we're stuck in Lowell, LOL." So again, I'm expecting him to say, I'm expecting him to say, not that, again, I don't want him to come get me, but like give me some advice, like, okay, what can you do? Like, he knows the area better than I do because he fucking lives in Massachusetts. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to know what to do? Because I'm not from here, I'm not from Massachusetts. He doesn't get back to me. He gets back to me the next morning. I'll get back to what Zach and I ended up doing to leave the arena. And I know this story is going on way too long, and I apologize, but I wanted to tell it just because I love this story. He gets back to me at 10 a.m. the next day. He fucking texted me after I said all of that, and he goes, "Good. Did you sleep on the streets?" And then he also goes, "Did you have to do any street fighting?" Because he knows I did mixed martial arts. I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, this guy has no sympathy. And now he's just like, "Hey, did you survive last night?" I could have been fucking dead. I could have been mugged. I could have been out on the streets of Lowell, Massachusetts, dead. No money, nothing to my name. And the guy wouldn't have given a shit. I didn't care. Of course he wasn't up when I texted him at 12:10. But, like, he was less of an academic advisor, less of a teacher, and more of a friend. That's how he texted me back. I'm like, you motherfucker. And I didn't get back to him. I didn't even bother replying because I was so pissed. So what Zach and I ended up doing is no one was getting back to me. We just sat there thinking of ideas. And one of the guys there is like, "Hey, we got to close up shop here," because everyone left the building at that point. He goes, "You guys know how to get home?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, the train station closed." Oh, I asked him, I'm like, "What do you think we should do?" This guy was more of a help than anyone else. He goes, "Hey, well, there's Uber." I'm like, "I've heard of Uber before through Jericho's podcast, but I didn't know like how to use it. Like, I never downloaded it." I'm like, "What the fuck is Uber?" And he's like, "Oh, it's an app you download, you tell them where to go, and they can pick you up, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, okay. So I downloaded the app, hooked it up to my account, because that's what you do. Uber's very easy to use. Downloaded the app, and I sent out for a driver. And again, I don't know how to use this thing. I don't know how to use Uber, but I ended up figuring it out. And I don't know if Zach knew how to use Uber either, but he helped me work through it, all this other shit. We ordered a driver. I sent him the wrong address. I'm like, God, dude, we just got to get out of here. It's like 12:30 right now in Lowell, Mass. We're about to get like mugged or worse. Like, where is this driver? And it's because I thought it was his fault. It's because I gave him the wrong address like a dumbass. So he ends up calling me. Of course the guy has an Indian accent. He's of Indian descent. So he can't understand what I'm saying. I can't understand what he's saying. And this has happened before, but it was even worse because it was the first time I'd ever used Uber. And this high school was at a random-ass location. So, like, I didn't know where the guy was going to fucking pick us up. So finally he gets us. And he's like, "Oh, where are you going?" Because at this point, the drivers don't know where you're going until they pick you up. I'm like, "Oh, we're going to Beverly," which is 45 minutes out of the way. And he's like, "Where?" I'm like, "Beverly, Mass." He goes, "Oh, I can't go there. I got to go home." I'm like, Dude, I would really appreciate it. Like, we have to get home. And he's like, "Oh, well, let me call my wife first." So we called his wife to let her know that he was coming home late because he was dropping these two college kids off, these two fucking marks, off at a college that was like 45 minutes away. And it cost me a pretty penny, but all I cared about at that point was just getting back to my college. And Zach I had a blow-up mattress, so he stayed for the night at the place. My roommate went home. I don't know if he ever knew that Zach ended up staying over. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. The kid never got back to me, so who gives a shit? So Zach stayed over, and it was just great. It was really great. And Zach was a trooper through the whole thing. We never once freaked out. Again, that story went a lot longer than it needed to. I apologize, but I love telling stories. But yeah, that's my Uber experience. I've been using Uber ever since, and Uber is awesome. And that's how I found out what Uber was. And yeah, I don't think Zach. We were supposed to go to a show a couple months later. He couldn't make it. I don't know if we've been to a show together since. But yeah, Uber really saved my ass that night. But yeah, fuck my roommate for not pulling through after all the shit that I'd done for him. The guy, if you guys only knew what I went through that year, and I talked a lot about it on hashtag. I buried my roommate a lot on this show, and like RJ would tell you, he heard all the stories. But Anyway, we're about 2 hours in. We got to get going here. I'm so sorry, but I had to tell that story just because we're live, pal. We're live. All right, let's check the chat real quick. Let's see. What was the next comment here? I'm looking at the chat. Jeremy said, I think Sami Zayn is eventually turning on Nakamura and beating him for the IC title, and Murphy will be the one to take the IC title from Sami. I like that idea a lot. I really do. I think, and Ross said, at Zach, is this the WrestleMania story? I don't think so. I think this is, if you're talking about my story, then I'm not sure. Nah, that was something else. Uber Lol was something else. If that's what you're talking about, that was a different story. We watched WrestleMania 32, if that's what you're talking. I don't know if that has anything to do with what you're talking about, but Zach and I watched WrestleMania 32 the next day before he took an Uber out of there, which was funny. Or he took a taxi or something back to the train station. But anyway, back to Jeremy's comment. Yeah, I think Sami beating Nakamura is great, and then Murphy taking the title from Sami makes a lot of sense. Jared says, this is turning into Graham's bold movie takes. Yeah, it is. This is more of a movie podcast, and it is wrestling related. I love movies. I love movies as much as I love wrestling, so I will talk about movies all day long. John said, I can understand why you felt that way, while you both felt that way about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The movie just dragged for me, I'm sorry. Ready or Not was the hide-and-seek movie. The girl was named Samara Weaving. It wasn't, I probably botched that. That was, instead of, who did I say? The one from Margot Robbie. The one from Suicide Squad, Margot Robbie. That's how I know her. I know she's in Wolf on Wall Street, I, Tonya. I remember seeing her in Suicide Squad, for better or for worse. Maybe I'll see that at some point. Alexis loves horror movies, so maybe we'll go watch that at some point. Jeremy's question, will you be seeing Joker in October? I am. I forgot about that. I'm looking forward to seeing the Joker movie. That looks great. Jared, who will be the first call-up from NXT UK to the main roster? That's a good question. Well, obviously Pete Dunne, I would say. Probably Pete Dunne or Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley, I think, would be a great fit for either the Raw or SmackDown women's divisions. I would love to see her and Becky Lynch. I think those two would go great together. So probably Pete Dunne, but if not him, then likely Rhea Ripley. John Retland, the Attitude Era episodes have aged like a fine milk. That's funny. John Ritland said, I've done occasional retro reviews for some of the Monday Night Wars TV episodes and some pay-per-views, and some have not aged well. Some matches still hold up. Yeah, I gotta go back and watch those. I love your reviews, John. The episodes themselves don't do a lot for me. I'm glad you endure the bad episodes of Raw so we don't have to, so we very much appreciate that. RJ goes, remember when I yelled UK wrestling sucks at NXT New York? Yeah, RJ, so this is not going to be another 20-minute story, I promise. RJ and I went to Takeover New York with Alexis, the first show that all three of us have been to together. I think it was actually RJ's first time meeting Alexis. And it was an amazing show, probably the best wrestling show I've ever been to. And RJ, during the Pete Dunne-Walter match, just goes, UK wrestling sucks. He didn't yell it, but he knew if he yelled it that he would get fucking hung from the rafters. Hanged from the rafters, so thankfully he didn't. But yeah, RJ did once say that UK wrestling sucks, so if you don't like his opinion, then you could take it up with him. John Ritland said Kota Ibushi could pull a Bret Hart. Bret immediately blames Seth Rollins. That's funny. FD said that he's signing out. It's 1 a.m. over in Malaysia. Dude, you're fucking chatting from Malaysia? That's awesome. That's really cool. Thank you for joining us, FD. I appreciate it. He sends in the Facebook questions a lot, so thanks for tuning in. Let's aim for 500. Fuck yeah, we're aiming for 500. Probably won't hit it for another 4 years, but hey, if I'm still around by that point, fuck yeah, we're going for 500. Durbinator said, Amazing Red had a match against Will Ospreay in what I think is the match of the year. Ospreay, I saw about that on Twitter at Defy Wrestling, right? Ospreay said that it's criminal that Red is not listed. Does that mean like match of the year or like under contract? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Would you want to see Red claim the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title belt? Yeah, but I thought Amazing Red retired. Or did he come out of retirement? I mean, I guess he came out of retirement for that match. I'm not really sure. But, yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, so, yeah, I guess, yeah, I would love to see him as the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. I'm all over the place again because I'm reading the comments right now. I'm just catching in I'm just catching up on the comments right now in the live chat. I love you guys. RJ said Fabio and Philly Uber. Yeah, so RJ and I took an Uber. This is gonna listed on the IWGP bill. Oh yeah, no, that would be cool. This is gonna turn into an Uber video on like worst Uber experiences or best Uber experiences. But yeah, RJ and I took an Uber in Philly for the Royal Rumble last January in 2018. God, it was the Uber ride from hell. It was atrocious. First of all, we had to get the fuck out of there. We saw Izzy on the way out. Everyone was like, oh, Izzy, I want to take a picture with you. She's like 8 years old. It's like, is that not weird to anyone else? Are RJ and I the only people that are like, that think it's weird that these grown-ass men want to take pictures with an 8-year-old? Is that not fucking weird to anyone else? But anyway. Yeah, we went in this Uber with this woman. God, I wish I could remember her name. But she drove like a maniac. RJ almost threw up. I was holding on to the safety handles on the side of the car. She picked us up in a van. It was the wrong car. It was a nightmare. It was so bad. Debatable on good kid, RJ said about my roommate. But yeah, Fabio, we picked up this guy named Fabio in Philly. He was a sketchy character. We dropped him off at his house. I almost asked him if we can get out with him and if he could take us home because this woman almost got us killed on the highway. JJ said, great, I have no way home. Guess I'll talk to Flip Gordon. Yeah, exactly. Bedtime for RJ is 10 to 10:30. Damn, kid goes to bed early, but he has to get up early, so I don't blame him. RJ gets his 8 hours. He's very regimented. Jared said, yes, the mean rough streets of Lowell, Massachusetts. Yes, exactly. Dude, if you've been there, you would know. It's a shithole over there. At least where we were, it was a fucking shithole. At Uber, sponsor Wrestle Rant Radio. Yeah, let's get Uber as a sponsor. That'd be awesome. That'd be great. Cesaro versus Walter in a potential King of the Ring wrestling reunions. Kings of Wrestling reunion on NXT UK has me excited as well. Yes, absolutely. Cesaro and Walter, I don't see that happening, but it'd be awesome. Oh, shit. Fucking knocked the mic. Kings of Wrestling would be great. That'd be awesome if they could get a reunion there. Let's see. John Ritland Durb and I were at that Super J Super J Cup show, and my God, the show was great. Amazing Red did retire, but came out of retirement for this short tour. That's cool. Speaking of Joker, the new trailer is out. Have not seen it. I'll go out of my way to watch it, though. John Ritland, don't make a woman driver joke. Yeah, she was terrible. I don't know if she was blind or what, but she was terrible. Zach said, wasn't there some Twitter account last year that was a grown man that was obsessed with Izzy? Yes, there was. RJ and I joke about it all the time because this guy was like, oh yeah, I love Izzy. And then he was like calling her pretty or something like that. And then he was trying to backtrack because people called him out on it because like, dude, that's fucking creepy. That's fucking weird. And then he was like, well, I meant as a friend or something like that. It was so fucking weird. John knows what I'm talking about. It was so fucking weird. Jared said, Uber and Uber Eats are great resources. My fiance and I love them, but they make it hard to save money. Yeah, exactly. They are very good resources, but they are wallet drainers for sure. Let's continue with these questions here. I got to get going. Like I said, we're 2 hours in. I'm going to go for 3 hours, but I really got to go ahead of then. Frank M. from Facebook. Who wins? NXT versus AEW on Wednesday nights. The fans win. NXT and AEW on Wednesday night. The fans win because we have a lot of great wrestling on Wednesdays, and Total Divas comes back on October 2nd. So how can Wednesday nights not be the most stacked night of the week for wrestling fans? You know? So for sure, I think the wrestling fans win. But seriously, I want to say AEW wins in the ratings just because they're on a bigger network, I feel like, than USA Network, than NXT. And I feel like AEW will have more buzz in the beginning than NXT. Rating-wise, I think AEW will ultimately score the bigger rating. For right now, probably NXT because they're established more than AEW, but in the end, maybe AEW. But really, the fans win that war. His second question, why did WWE reward Sasha Banks with a major push against Becky Lynch? Well, because they have no other option, really. Unfortunately, I went on a rant about this a couple weeks ago here on the show from Frank's question. I don't agree with putting Sasha Banks in the title picture after she went boo-hoo and fucking cried her way home like a baby. She's a fucking baby. I'm sorry. I know we don't know all the details. She sounds like a fucking baby. Oh, I'm going to go on vacation and post all these cryptic Instagram pictures and photos and comments because I'm a baby. She's a fucking baby. Anyway, my disdain for the Sasha Banks push aside, it makes sense from a storyline standpoint, which is what I don't like, because I've been liking what they're doing with Sasha, but like, part of me doesn't want to like it because I think it's bullshit that she's getting a push after sitting at home for 4 months. Why the fuck doesn't Bayley go home then? Why doesn't she go home? She's been here every day for 4 years now. Why doesn't she go home? Doesn't make any sense to me. But it's because they don't have any other options. They can't really afford to put Sasha on the undercard of the women's division right now because Ruby Riot's out hurt, Ronda Rousey's gone, Nia Jax is hurt. Been there, done that with Lacey Evans. Been there, done that with Natalya. I guess they could plug women over from SmackDown, but Alexa Bliss, been there, done that. Nikki Cross, I mean, they're women's tag team champions right now anyway, so it doesn't even make any sense, but it's because they don't really have any other options. And it's a good feud, but, knowing what we do from what's actually happened with Sasha, at least from what we know, it doesn't sit well with me personally. Thomas B, what are some of your favorite wrestling matches that have taken place in England? Great question. William Regal winning the Intercontinental Championship from Santino, not really for the match itself, but that moment was awesome. Back on November 11th, 2008. And I'm crazy with dates, but the only reason I remember that is because I did not watch it live. I don't know if I ever watched it after the fact, maybe like a couple weeks later, but the reason was I was super psyched for Raw that night because, and you guys are going to love this story. I'm sure I've told this story before, but I'll tell it real quickly. You guys are probably like, oh no, not another story because they're so long-winded, but real quick. I was looking forward to Raw that night because I knew it was going to emanate from England. Because the first Raw that I watched in full was from England. Randy Orton versus William Regal was what got me hooked on wrestling, what got me hooked on WWE. That emanated from England because that's where William Regal is from. The week before, the week that William Regal won the IC title, he won a battle royal to earn a shot at the Intercontinental Championship on that Raw in the UK. I was so psyched, and then I couldn't watch because my report card came out. I was in 8th grade at that time, okay? I was in 8th grade. My report card came out. I did so terribly. God, you guys have no idea how many times I have skipped doing homework to watch Monday Night Raw. I mean, if that happened now, I would fucking kill myself. Just why would you watch Raw over doing homework? Because Raw sucks. I mean, it's getting better now, but you know what I'm saying. Back then, it was like must-see television for me. I had a DVR, but no internet, nothing like that, so I had to watch live. So most of the time, I didn't do projects. I would do it on the bus on the way to school, or I just wouldn't do them at all. That's why I did so poorly on my report card that first quarter, that first term of 8th grade. So not only did I did poorly, but I got my report card. I didn't give it to my parents. I lied about getting it. I said I didn't get it, or I said I did better than I did. And I think my mom was like skeptical about it. So she called the school that Monday, found out that I did fucking terribly. And then she called me while I was upstairs, and this is so bad. I was upstairs trying to look for an old report card that I had from like the year before that I did better on, that I could pass off as like my current report card. How stupid is that? Like, it says on it the date. I don't know if I was going to cross out the date or what, but like, isn't that dumb? Like, that's what I was going to do. I was in the attic trying to look for this report card, during which point my mom called me on my fucking LG green mint chocolate phone, and she said, hey, I know the deal. The jig is up. Like, no wrestling, like no TV for like a month or something. Like, I had my laptop taken away. Did I have a laptop? No, I didn't have a laptop. I couldn't use the computer, though. No computer, no internet, no TV, no nothing. No video games, nothing. So, I couldn't watch Raw that night, and the jig was up. So I had to watch it after the fact, and then my brother watched it for me, and he told me all about it the next day. So, yeah, I like that moment. Just because, Jesus Christ, I'm looking at the comments right now. I like that moment just because William Regal won the IC title. And, but it's not really all that nostalgic, because every time I watch that moment back now on YouTube, it just reminds me of the time that I did so badly on my report card. I got wrestling taken away from me for like months. I would have to watch it when no one was home. How bad is that? Isn't that fucking bad? It was really bad. But yeah, so that there's that. Any other favorite matches in England? Joe and Balor from NXT UK, or not, the NXT Takeover in the UK, from London a couple years ago was really good. No matches from the UK Takeover from earlier this year in London. I'm sure there's more. I know Team Hell No. I mean, there's a lot more, but like Team Hell No and The Undertaker versus The Shield on Raw in England was great. Awesome match. I think that took place on Raw in 2013. What else? I'm sure there's more I'm just not thinking of. I know I did like a video here on the channel of like, oh, my favorite matches and moments from WWE in England, and you know, I had a few on there. But yeah, those are just a few of my favorite matches and moments from WWE from back then. Let's look at the chat real quick. I probably shouldn't just because I get so easily distracted. Zach said, my future wife Carmella is on Total Divas this season, so I'm looking forward to that. I second that. That should be cool. Ray said, RJ said, pretty sure Fabio invited us into his house. The lady's regular car was in the shop. Yeah, that's what happened. She had the wrong car because her normal car was in the shop. I can only imagine why. Just because she was a fucking terrible driver. Jared said, story time with GSM is making a big comeback. Yes, it is. Don't give me a live platform because I'll be back. I won't come back with these live videos. Maybe not even, because Jared also said, petition to make hashtag AskGSM live every week. I don't know if I can do it live every week because I'm busy, and it's a lot easier to record when I can in the morning, and I can't do it live every week, and Zach's did the same thing. But maybe we could just do live videos with just doing story time. You know, those are great. I love story time. Anyway, we got to hurry up here. John also said, Bulldog versus Bret Hart, SummerSlam 92. How could I forget that? Still sticks out in my mind. Bulldog versus Shawn at One Night Only 97 was nuts. Yeah, two great matches. Wasn't that hour-long Cena HBK match from England? Yes, it was. I would also put that on my list as well. That was a great match from 2007. All right, back to the questions here. Actually, before we go any further, I know we're 2 hours in, but let's actually let me tweet out the link one more time. Tweet out the link. Hashtag AskGSM episode 300 live. We are story time with GSM. Story time with GSM. Or let's say doing story time right now on hashtag AskGSM300, in addition to answering your questions. Oops. Still getting used to this keyboard. Join us now live on YouTube. Yeah, the time flies by when you're live and you're just fucking going off about random dumb shit. Anyway, let's see. Let's get back here. John said 58 minutes. Sean's lazy. I wouldn't go the full hour. That's funny. All right, back to the document here. Tong the Chong from Twitter. To me, booking McIntyre to lose to Ricochet was the wrong call. Where does Drew go from here? And more importantly, how do you put the other pieces of the puzzle together in the King of the Ring tournament? Which heel and which babyface do you see in the finals? I already said this, but I thought Andrade and Alexander would go all the way, and I'm gonna stick with that pick. It's not the conventional prediction, but I'm going to stick with it just because that's what I've said since the beginning. And I think they could have a great match in the finals. Their matches in NXT a few years ago were any indication of how well they can work together. McIntyre losing first round was very, very strange. I love Ricochet, but like McIntyre was a lot of people's pick, so they probably should have gone a little further with him. Especially having him lose clean was a little questionable. But yeah, I see Andrade and Alexander in the finals and Andrade winning. I'm definitely wrong, but I'm sticking with my prediction. At noob_n_co 1991, their question was, which AEW female wrestler will be the first AEW women's champion? I've already answered this, but I think Britt Baker. Britt Baker is good. She's not the greatest wrestler, but she's probably the most pushed out of anyone in AEW right now, so I'd probably go with her. Who else would it be? Awesome Kong is well past her prime. Bea Priestley, I wasn't overly impressed with what we saw from her at the Fight for the Fallen show. So, or Fighter Fest? I think it was Fight for the Fallen. Yeah, Fighter Fest was June, Fight for the Fallen was July. There's a lot of F's there. Anyway. Probably Britt Baker. If I do say so myself. At Hardy the X Fan Ross. Ross's question was, any early predictions for the winner of the Royal Rumble? Great question. And thanks to Ross for always joining us here on the show, dating back to the very beginning. He's been one of the top supporters of the show, in addition to John and Jared and FD and a lot of other people. But anyway, any early predictions for the winner of the Royal Rumble? Honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb and just say what Solomonster said a while ago, just because it's the first thing that sticks out in my mind. It's just really what I want to see more over than anything else. Bray Wyatt becomes Universal Champion between now and the Royal Rumble. WrestleMania, whatever. Aleister Black wins the Royal Rumble, and then they face off for the championship of WrestleMania. That's what I'm going to go with, because I love that idea. I don't know. Honestly, if it's not Black, then who else is it? That makes sense. And the landscape can change big time between now and January. We all know that. People can drop titles, people can return, people can get hurt. So I don't really know who they're currently eyeing as the early pick for the Royal Rumble. I'm just going to go with Aleister Black, because why not? If it's not him, then really, who else even is there? Like Big E and Kofi at Mania, but I don't think Kofi's holding the championship for a year. I think he's dropping it well before then. Do you guys have any picks? Let me see in the chat. Did you guys say anything? Let's see. RJ said, remember when I trucked that lady on the subway going to SummerSlam? Yes, I do. We were on our way to SummerSlam. I know I'm going way off track here, but we were on our way to SummerSlam 2015. RJ went with John and I. We took a whole group of friends. And I think Molly was with him too. His fiance now, his current fiance. He was on the subway in Brooklyn. Never go on the subway in Brooklyn. It's a fucking atrocity. The subway buckled a little bit, and then, oh god, John Rutland. The subway shook a little bit, and RJ grazed his shoulder against this woman behind him, and then she just fucking goes off on him. What the fuck are you doing, you disrespectful fuck? Fuck you, you fucking Connecticut, Massachusetts piece of shit. Mr. Marceau, you suck. Obviously she didn't say that, but it was really holy shit. These people here are so on edge. Dude, fuck New York. I've gone to so many shows there before, and I like going there for shows, but even then, the people there are so unhelpful. They're so fucking rude. Massachusetts is better. London is better. God, I can name so many other different states I like to go into wrestling shows at than New York. Fuck New York, my God. Jared said Andrade wins, takes the name of Rey Andrade, Ray versus for Survivor Series. I like that. That's cool. Because Ray is king. I like that. It's actually pretty clever. He also said idea, spin the show hyping Alistair's decision, era Funhouse segment that ends with a knock on the door. Alistair is standing right there saying, let me in. Match made. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's actually really clever. But anyway, go back to the Royal Rumble. I do say Aleister Black is my current pick to win the whole thing as of right now. John said, did you see all the empty seats at SmackDown last night? Do you think WWE should stop running shows in markets like this? Where even were they? I think they were in not Baton Rouge, but they were somewhere in Louisiana. The same... Weren't they in the Smoothie Kings Arena, the same arena they were in for Raw and SmackDown a couple years ago after Mania 34 last year? Yeah, the crowd sucked. I don't know if Louisiana's not a wrestling city. I thought it was. I guess not. I mean, I know it wasn't a strong wrestling town or strong wrestling city, but they were quiet all night. Not even for 205 Live, but for SmackDown too. They just were not good. Yeah, they probably shouldn't be running towns like that. They go to a lot of small towns. I know they want to share the love, and that's great. But not just because the crowd sucks. That's one factor. But if they're not pulling in people, and the shows aren't just doing well in general anyway, they probably shouldn't go there. John's second question here. Let's see. 1 sec. John's second question: what match or matches at All Out do you think will be the best on the show? Omega and Pac might even be as good, if not better, than Omega and Moxley from an in-ring standpoint. So I'm looking forward to that. Omega and Pac, and then you got to go I almost said Lung Bucks. The Lung Bucks. That sounds like a tag team of smokers. The Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros in the ladder match should be great too. I know it's been done to death by now. We've seen so many matches between the two teams at this point in Mexico and AEW, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be an awesome match. That could very well steal the show. John's next question. So, 2 makeshift tag teams are facing off for the Raw Tag Team titles at Clash of Champions. Do you think any of the legit tag teams are upset about the booking mistakes with the tag team division? I'm sure they are. Why wouldn't they be? I mean, Strowman and Rollins versus Rude and Ziggler sounds like such a fucking mishmash of a matchup for the tag team titles at Clash of Champions. Why not the OC? Why not the Viking Raiders? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So, yeah, they some teams have got to be pissed. Like the Revival, like that's got to be a fucking slap in the face to them. I like Rude. I like Ziggler. Not really. I don't really care about him at this point. But like, they're a good team. But Rude is not a tag team guy anymore. Let him do his own fucking thing. And Ziggler is a fucking lost cause. So I would just let them do their own thing. I really do not care to see, the Rude and Ziggler as a tag team in the Raw tag team division. I feel like it's just a waste at this point. So I would not be surprised at all if any teams were pissed about that. At Jeremy8911 says, thoughts on, you kind of asked this in the chat earlier, but thoughts on Cesaro appearing at this Saturday's UK TakeOver. Would you be down for a feud between him and Walter, plus him reuniting with the Kings of Wrestling with Ono? Yeah, either one would be awesome. More so the Kings of Wrestling, because I've been dying to see them interact since they both signed to WWE years ago. Like, it's been at least 7 or 8 years since they both signed with WWE. The only interaction we've seen, actually 2 interactions, we've seen with Cesaro and Ono in WWE. One during a dark match for NXT that was on like the NXT Best of DVD years ago on like the Blu-ray version. It was them versus Rollins and Punk, which sounds like a dream match. And I think I watched it. It was a good match. It was WWE-ified, but it was good. And then they also interacted in an NXT house show. Cesaro made the save for Ono about maybe a year ago, earlier this year. I think it was earlier this year. And it never made TV or anything, but it happened at an NXT house show, which is really cool. So, yeah, I would love to see a Kings of Wrestling reunion and them in the NXT UK Tag Team Division. Take my fucking money. Jeremy's second question, do you think we're getting Reigns and Murphy versus Bryan and Rowan at Clash of Champions, and then Bryan versus Reigns at Hell in a Cell? I don't think so. I think Murphy's time and the Reigns, Bryan, Rowan thing is done. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think that's cool. But Murphy just beat Daniel Bryan, and then he loses to Ali. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Reigns and Murphy versus Bryan and Rowan would be cool. I thought we were going to get Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe versus Bryan and Rowan, and obviously that's not happening. So I don't think we're getting that tag team match. I do think we are headed towards Roman and Bryan. I honestly think we probably won't get another pay-per-view. We will get another pay-per-view without Bryan and Rowan and Roman on the card. If anything, we'll get Roman versus Rowan, but I don't know about, not sure about the tag team match, even though that would be cool, though, especially now that Murphy's out of the King of the Ring tournament. Maybe that's why they did that. Maybe they got him out early so he can be Roman's partner. I would love to see that. I just don't see it happening. Thoughts on the rumors that The Fiend will be facing the Universal Champion at Hell in a Cell? Yeah, it sounds like someone at WWE is getting fired for that one, or whatever fucking arena that tweeted that out. I think the tweet's still up as of right now, but they said, Bray Wyatt challenges the winner of Rollins and Strowman at Hell in a Cell. Now, it's an arena advertisement, so subject to change, obviously, but I would not be surprised if Wyatt faces, hopefully, Rollins and not Braun for the title at Hell in the Cell, even inside Hell in the Cell. I think that'd be awesome for the Fiend character, and that would be perfect. So, I mean, it might be a little soon, but honestly, is it really that soon? I mean, the guy's been in the company now for 6 years. I know the Fiend character just debuted, but who cares? Just put the fucking title on him already. So, yeah, I would love to see the Fiend versus Rollins for the Universal Championship at Hell in the Cell. Quick chat break real quick. We'll see what you guys are saying in the chat. Ton of comments. Let's see. John Ritland, SmackDown was in Baton Rouge. Okay, yeah. And RJ said the same thing. Thank you. John said, Louisiana hasn't been a strong wrestling state since the Mid-South wrestling days. Yeah. It seems like the crowds have not been great there for a while now. Jared said, Louisiana is still too about playoff losses to cheer. Too pissed off, too sad? Or you said too man. I don't know what. Too mad. I'm too mad about playoff losses to cheer anything. Mad. I'm sorry. You corrected yourself. The Lung Bucks, sponsored by Truth Orange. That's funny. The Lung Bucks, instead of super kicks, they hit Lucky Strikes. That's great. What was the point of reuniting Hawkins and Ryder if they were just going to do nothing with them? And with Rude, why not give him and Young a run together? Ziggler doesn't fit with him. Because I don't think they would acknowledge the Team Canada history. Honestly, Eric Young just bores me to fucking tears. The Sanity thing was fine, but I have no desire to see him on TV in a tag team or anything. I really don't. I honestly would rather see Rude with Eric Young. or honestly would rather, easy for me to say, would rather see Rude with Dolph Ziggler, just because they have better chemistry. I know he has great chemistry with Eric Young. They've been together for a long time. They've known each other for a long time. But if they're not going to do the Team Canada gimmick, then does it really matter? Like, I don't think so. I know they have history, but they would never acknowledge that in WWE. I'd rather see Beer Money get back together before we see Team Canada get back together. And we saw it on Main Event like a week or two ago, and it doesn't really do much for me personally. What was the point of reuniting Hawkins and Ryder? Well, why not? I mean, they weren't doing anything anyway. Like, they were never even on the show as it was. So, honestly, I'd rather have them back together. And they won the Raw Tag Team titles at WrestleMania, so it's not like they're doing nothing with them. And they were never going to be like a strong tag team anyway, like a strong, legit threat to any other tandem. So I thought for what they were, I'm glad they're back together. They are back together. I think they work well together. It's better them together than apart. I'll say that, because they're not going to do anything with Ryder or Hawkins on their own. So they might as well have just reunited. The people have been clamoring for that for a long time now, so I'd rather just see that. Jared said, Royal Rumble prediction. I defend the GSM Royal Rumble game title successfully. We'll see. Ross has won twice, not in consecutive years. That's never been done before, but he's the first and only person who have won 3 times, so it's definitely possible. Let's see. Back to the other questions. At Iwagu91, is it without a doubt that Daniel Bryan is the most successful of the original but inferior incarnation of NXT? Well, 100%. I mean, the Nexus came out of NXT, but that thing died within a year. That first season, it seems like everyone on that first season is now either gone or retired or whatever. I mean, the next one that was most successful, next to Daniel Bryan, I would say is Wade Barrett. You could say Ryback too, because Ryback got more pay-per-view main events, I think, than Wade Barrett, but they were kind of on the same level. Both former IC champions, never really lived up to their full potential. Were only really hot for a year or two. Lasted a long time. They both left in 2016, debuted in 2010, so I think they're probably on the same playing field. I mean, Barrett won way more championships than Ryback did. He was like a 5-time IC champion. But still, I think they're kind of on the same playing field. Bryan is easily the most successful person to come out of that show. The first season also had Darren Young. I had like a hiccup there for a second. We had Darren Young that first season. We had David Otunga, Michael Tarver, remember him? Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel. Slater's been a multi-time tag team champion, so he's done pretty well for himself. The second season had like all losers. I mean, the Funkasaurus was in that season. Lucky Cannon was a fucking joke. Remember him? Eli Cottonwood, the magic of that mustache promo. He would be perfect in Mustache Mountain. I'm just kidding. Don't bring him back. But who else was in that second season? EC3. EC3 was in the second season of what is it? Of NXT. I'm looking at my phone right now, so I got distracted. Daniel Bryan is easily the most successful out of anyone. Naomi was also in the third season of NXT. She won the SmackDown Women's title twice. She's had a lot of success for herself, but easily Daniel Bryan is by far the most successful one out of that original incarnation of NXT for sure. His second question, even though he did not become world champion in the WWE, becoming ECW champion doesn't count. Is it clear that John Morrison is the most successful Tough Enough winner? No, The Miz is. Oh, no, wait, The Miz, wasn't he the runner-up or something? John Morrison has to be obviously the most successful winner, way more successful than Maven. Can someone tell me in the chat, did The Miz win Tough Enough? I feel like he didn't. I feel like he came in either second or he lost or something. I know the chat's a little behind, or the stream's a little behind from when I'm recording. So let's see, I'll keep the stream open. I'll keep the chat open so you guys can correct me. Did The Miz win Tough Enough? I thought he was the runner-up. But if he did win it, then obviously The Miz, I mean, former WWE champion, IC champion, he's definitely the most successful person to come out of Tough Enough, period. Win or loss. He was the most successful person to come out of it, just because he has done incredibly well for himself. But in the meantime, we'll go on to the next question, and then I'll correct myself after you guys find out. Thank you. Was Michelle McCool getting a flawless gimmick done to make her extremely distinctive from The Undertaker? No, that was just done because it fit her character. It was annoying, but it wasn't because she was dating The Undertaker. That was probably done before she started dating him, if I'm not mistaken. I always thought it was fun to entertain the idea of The Undertaker coming out with Michelle McCool doing her flawless gimmick. How funny would that be? it would kill his character, but it would be funny. Like the Billy and Chuck, like of, Lay Cool, like it kind of accompanying them to the ring, like wearing all pink. That would have been hilarious. Sad, but hilarious. That was completely, independent of The Undertaker. Absolutely. There's no correlation there. RJ said, we got 2 last questions here and on the document before we wrap it up. I do got to get going. RJ said, thoughts on Moxley getting hurt and the recent report of Phoenix getting hurt, as well as different indie bookings. Injuries should not sideline them for long, but should AEW have limited their appearances to protect the All Out card? Yeah, I mean, with Moxley, it wasn't really much of a choice because he's been doing his New Japan thing for a while now. So I'm not really sure how they could have really done much about that. Still, I think, maybe going forward when everyone's AEW exclusive, they can manage that type of thing. WWE is not the bad guy and like, oh, you can't work anywhere else. It is bullshit they classify those people as independent contractors. But WWE is smart to not let their wrestlers wrestle anywhere else. Because if they get hurt, they're fucked. They get hurt anyway, They don't have time to wrestle anywhere else, but you know what I'm saying. So, AEW will likely follow suit if they start doing, house shows and stuff like that. I think Tony Khan said they want to do that at some point. Not right now, not anytime soon, but still, I think it's definitely possible. And that they could start limiting their bookings to make sure that they're all protected for the card. At least not wrestle like a month out from the show. Phoenix doing a fucking, like, all these crazy matches a month before or a week before All Out, probably not too smart. Jon Moxley, same thing. He had a hardcore match with Pentagon Jr. at a Northeast Wrestling show a week or two ago. Not too smart. So, anyway, I would limit their bookings going forward. They probably should have done that already, but with Moxley specifically, if the guy's in your main event, you probably should be watching what he's doing and making sure that he's not about to get himself hurt. The infection thing, I think, was going to happen anyway. I'm not sure if that was a wrestling injury or what happened there, but it's unfortunate all the same. From the chat, Daniel Puter won the Tough Enough show in 2004. So, yeah, he didn't win. I think he might have been the runner-up. I think he was the runner-up, but he's easily the most successful person coming out of that Tough Enough show, just period. Thanks to John for letting me know that. And then finally, at E13A from Twitter, first of all, congrats on making 300 episodes of #AskGSM. Thank you, my friend. Second of all, I'm going to need your explanation on why these Street Profits are only on Raw to recap and comment on what's going on the show. Yeah, that's I don't know what that's about. I love the Street Profits. I think they've been entertaining on Raw so far, but still, they got to cut down on what the fuck they're doing. It just doesn't make any sense, and it's just been it's just really been a mess with what they're doing with these guys, and they're just on the show, they're recapping it like, okay, what purpose is it really accomplishing? What does this really serve? What purpose does this really serve? Yes, it's getting people familiar with the characters. It's getting fans familiar with who they are, what they're about, their comedy, their personalities, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, what is it really doing? They're not in the ring. They're doing the same thing every week. Kind of lazy writing. So I would either get them in a match or start to do something if they're not going to be wrestling on Raw anytime soon. Keep them in NXT. I don't know. Figure out a better way to use these guys than just coming across like fucking geeks on the show every week. I'm not really sure what purpose that's supposed to serve. And that's it. I think that's all the questions. I'm just going to end it here. I'm going to sign off at this point. I do got to get going. John said WWE has too many talents. Even with all their weekly TV, they have way too many people that are doing nothing. I completely agree. But yeah, we're probably going to end it on that note. I do got to get going. We are now 2.5 hours in. The last one went over 3 hours, and we could probably go 3 hours if I had more time. I would honestly love to just sit here and just fucking ramble off for anyone who likes hearing that type of shit. Probably not. But maybe we'll bring this back with story time, SmackDown versus Raw, GM booking. Wouldn't that be cool? I think that'd be cool, personally, but that's just me. With live commentary from yours truly. We'll see. Let me know if you guys want to see more live videos. It seems like we had a lot of people chime in the live chat, tune in. I appreciate that. We'll do more of these videos in the future. Hopefully we don't have to wait until episode 400 in 2 more years to do another one of these. Hopefully we can do another one in the next, maybe a couple months. We'll see. Maybe next week. We'll see. Probably not. But anyway. Have a great one, guys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 300, whether you're here live or tuning in after the fact. I appreciate it. John Ritland, anything longer than 4 hours means a doctor's visit is in order. Yeah, that's just way too long. Way too fucking long. This is long as it is. We went way too long, but I enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. But speaking of you guys, thank you so much for 300 episodes of Hashtag AskGSM. I appreciate your time greatly. Taking time out of your days to listen to me fucking ramble about people and Speedos and movies and Star Wars and MCU shit, Marvel. I appreciate it a lot, so thank you. And hearing me ramble on about stories from 3 or 4 years ago, that's just great. So, anyway, guys, have an awesome rest of your week. We'll be back with another 300 episodes of Hashtag AskGSM for sure. For future episodes, they're up here on the channel every single fucking Wednesday. Check them out. Tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. Find me with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll probably miss someone if I go through the chat right now and try to name everyone who chimed in, but John, RJ, Jared, Aaron, Zach, FD, Ross, all you guys. And I'm sure there's more I'm not naming here that I forgot or something. Jeremy, thank you guys for tuning in. The Durbinator, tuning into the show. Very much appreciate it. You guys are awesome. You guys were a great audience. I fucking love looking at the chat. You guys are hilarious. So hopefully we can do more of these in the future. I know I sound like a fucking moron botching all over the place, but that's live television. That's live television for you, people. Live TV for you. So have a great rest of your week. We'll be back with episode 301 next week for the first week of September. Find me on the socials. I'll put all the links in the description box down below. Hopefully this video is up and running in archive form on the channel within the next, very shortly. I think it takes a little while for it to process and go to YouTube. I got to get going like right after I'm done recording here, so I'll post it on Facebook and Twitter and all that other shit when I get settled in a few hours. But at any rate, guys, again, thank you again for 300 episodes of Hashtag AskGSM. Very much appreciated. Would not have been possible without you fine folks. You guys are awesome. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy All Out on Saturday. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and for the 300th episode of Hashtag AskGSM, I'll catch your ass down the road.